and my white shirt used to be different kind of colors with all those aroma which is coming from various different people. So I can't enter in an office place like that. So I used to carry an extra shirt, extra shoe in my backpack so that I can look decent. I used to change in a nearby area. It can be anything. It can be a park. It can be normal shochalaya. I have no shame that I did that. And I used to enter into those offices, used to get orders, and from there I earned a little bit of amount of money. It was approximate 1,13,000, which I made a profit after 3 months, and I started a computer training academy. The reason I did that, because in India at that time there was less number of people who can understand development. Till date they don't. Till date we don't understand development. Yeah. So when I started like this. I used to make these kind of comments in my childhood days. Yeah. This is a digitally improvised version. It's not the original one, which used to be there, right? But then I wanted to marry between the programming language as well as the creativity, art, and bring out the Sanskrit and Dravid, the culture, from our epic and our mythology to the world. That was my vision. That's how I started. So from one student, I got around 50. From 50, that became 500 probably in a year. And believe me or not, people used to travel from Tatanagar to Calcutta just to learn programming language from me. I became a really popular programming language and animation teacher that time. In next 2 to 2.5 years, we have been making a small prototype of our game. I'm sure that a lot of you, if you have started your startup journey, to understand this term called prototype. In that time, there was the mentor for me. I'm coming from a family which is a lawyer's family. My father is a CS and lawyer. Mom, she's a public prosecutor. Mom wanted me to become a lawyer. Father wanted me to become somebody else. But rather, I chose a path of entrepreneurship, which was not very acceptable, at least in our family. So I had to go for a complete different kind of vertical. It was a challenge. I had to give a lot of promise that I'll be cracking all those education which is thinking about me. And then parallelly I'll be earning money. Parallelly I'll be running the company. So it was not like today's world that you are getting a boost and someone called Arijit or Shamik is coming to boost you up. It was discouragement. Yeah, it was opposite. If you say that you are running your business, at least from local communities, people used to say that you can't do anything in their life. That's the reason he started their own business. And that was the culture in Bengal, at least. How many of you are Bengalis in this group? Hardcore Bengali card. Maybe I'm talking in native language so that you can understand. So that was my story, and India got its first 3D game in the year of 2001. I'll give you a real life story how this game became popular. At that time, there was no publisher, there was no game publisher who can actually make this game popular. So I went to Chandi Chowk area. How many of you heard about Chandi Chowk in Calcutta? It is actually very prominent. If you look at Delhi or Calcutta, the same similar kind of thing. It is very, very popular for hardware, mainly for people who are looking for probably assembled system. And the second thing was software piracy. Okay, so I had made a deal with a piracy guy in Chandi Chowk. Told him that, hey, I have got a game which you don't have. He said it's just impossible. It's like you're telling me something which is a myth. I have got everything. I'm the biggest one in this market. I said, okay, play this game. He started playing and he said that, oh my god, seriously, you have got something. Where did you get it? Remember, it was CD days, not even DVD, right? Floppy disk and CD days. So I told him, okay, fine. I'm gonna give you this game. We'll be placing this in a CD. We'll go for a printing, and you sell in your own ecosystem, right? Whatever money you're gonna make, you give me 50%. You give 50%. That was an odd deal that I made. But believe me or not, that gave me access to a complete different kind of vertical of business. Till date, we pirate games in India. Till date. Right? Now it's not profitable for us to launch in India, but that time we started making money out of it. And we started digging into a vertical where we started teaching the Western world that Indian characters were not with dhoti and kurta only. I completely respect traditional dress, but to make it popular to the kids, young generation, you need to think different. So in this screen, you can see Mahishashur, you can see Shani, Kumbhakar, completely different vertical altogether. Wherein we started telling all these stories, keeping the essence same. We didn't stop there. We started hiring models, actor and actress. Probably we are Asia's first company who started taking models as a 3D character. It was not that easy to take them or convince them to become a game character. Because when you do that, that time there was a studio in India which can actually record or take pictures 360 degree. So we had to put 8 different cameras and a revolving tool in a studio, and a normal studio. And those cameras used to take pictures, and from there we made a software. The output that you're watching in the screen, whatever character you want to watch, is basically an output of our own created software which can translate any standard picture into a 3D polygon character. I have actually removed those slides because of, I've been requested to do that. But if you have interest, probably I can show you later on, right? Now we didn't stop over there. The year was probably 2003-4 when we started connecting the local ecosystem with the gaming world. That time, at least in 2005, 6, 7, if you go back to the press news, I used to be a face and probably a blue-eyed boy for the media. I was everywhere. Each and every news, each and every TV, they used to take my interview. It was there. And definitely, when you are a part of entrepreneurship, you hold a different kind of mindset. A 3 letters word started entering in my mind. It's called ego. I became really strong, was making money, became popular, started traveling in and across India, speaking in a lot of different kind of conferences. So when you are growing from ground level towards some success, some people usually have that. I have no shame sharing that. Right? I was traveling in Rajasthan that time, and when I was coming from an area called Churu, you have heard about Churu? It's really cold when it is winter. My car stopped in a signal. In the right hand side, I hear a cry of a kid, a child. He was crying like anything. Okay. And I looked and saw that there is a half-mad woman, probably a beggar, trying to give a comfort to that small child. What she did was shocking for me, at least. She opened her sari, her dress, completely became half naked, wrapped that child, and then tried to give a comfort. Car started, and tear came out from my eyes. This is not the reason I started my life. This is not the reason I started my company. I wanted to recruit more and more people. I wanted to make an impact. Next few months, I started learning and understanding the village level people. I understood that if you go towards villages, you'll find out a lot of those women who are probably earning 20 rupees in a day, not more than that. I mean, really treated like anything. But you can actually teach them how to go for knitting, and maybe you can teach them how to create toys or maybe some other equipment. So you mix and match the gaming world. The demand of the market from Southeast Asia was giving us a vibration that we can actually create fashionable garments within the game through which we can generate money and give that money to these poor people. So we started making ecosystem. Making sense? Did you understand what I did? We tried to teach these women how to go for these kind of fashionable item, which is called as cosplay. So these are few actual pictures. This is how they used to stay. This is how they used to you can say smile, till date they smile. But then we change the entire scenario by giving them training, giving them knowledge, giving them education. And these villages now, each and every family earns approximate in an average 30,000 to 45,000 rupees in a month. So from 20 rupees in a day, we started changing the livelihood of people. And these are few of the works that they do. This is not done by a high fashion, maybe very educated fashion designer from the industry. This is done by them, but it is being taught by amazing faculty members who are actually students passing out from these institutes. We started hiring them to become teacher in these rural areas. The ecosystem became sizable. We started making a lot of these games, realistic looking characters, entered into verticals of almost half of the world. If you don't know, if you combine movie industry plus music industry, gaming industry is much more bigger than that. And yes, while doing work, we handshake with Mr. Mukesh Khanna. He agreed to become Shaktiman in an as a 3D character. So we produced India's first superhero, Shaktiman in an as Mr. Mukesh Khanna. He became a bit of popular. We started entering into the movie industry, started recruiting a lot of more actor, actress. So in this screen, because you are nearby, I kept only nearby area celebrities. Jeet, Priyanka, Shubhasri, Parambrata, Bangladeshi characters, Ritik, couple of others. So this is what happens when we create any character. From one single circle kind of structure, we make the entire character. The inside, that's Maina, he's an actor in Bengal, and that's the 3D. So if you can see, nearly 95% is like him. But then I was waiting for a boom. I was waiting for a boom which is going to probably make a revolution in the market, which is VR boom. We entered into that vertical. Eventually, we started making these kind of characters, which is from the African continent. Various different cultural games. I'll skip a lot. I'll stop here. 2014-15, we launched 4 different brands. I am superhero for the kids who love to draw, but their parents say that if you're drawing, you can't do anything in your life. So we kept a program making a statement that if you're a kid making a drawing, upload it to our portal. If we like, we'll give you offloaded work as a freelancer. So from school days, you can earn. We launched India's first, which is a creative company, cosplayseller.com. I was too early in the market in 2014-15. India couldn't actually accept that. How many of you understand cosplay? Now you guys understand this. In that time, it was really too early. When we started making those cosplay elements, very less number of buyers were there. Yeah. Then we launched Glam World Face as a marketplace for actor, actress, and celebrities. In this portal, if you go there, you can find out probably almost all known creators. We started taking initially as models and actors. Eventually, we started taking singers, photographers, movie makers, and then we started collaborating with out of India production houses. We started giving them talent. We started co-making productions for quite a long number of years. And we launched our own animation review portal, which is actually talking for free about anything is happening for animation and game development. These are the few works that we did. That is probably, if you have been there in Calcutta, if you have seen IPC, these are few cosplay shows that we did in those times. Few bit of celebrities who actually work with us. You can see all these pictures, like Urvashi used to work with us. We made her a little bit of decent popular in some part of the world, definitely. 2015-16. Okay, let me confess. 2008 onwards, I started mentoring startups. Whatever small knowledge I have, running the company for last 10 years, that time I had a decent amount of customer base, at least from 20 plus countries. And I I started interacting with lot many HNIs, lot many business owners. They are stalwarts now. That time probably I can say that it's a story like Pirates of India. If you have seen the movie Pirates of Silicon Valley. So that time Apurva was rising. That time Anil was actually trying to create his own fund. There are a lot of people like us, and I was like in my early probably days to understand the funding world. 2008, I made my first angel investment to a guy, and that story was actually interesting. It was in a college, and I was just out after my speaking session, and a fellow came in front of me, said that, "Sir, I want to meet you in your office. I want to start my own venture. There is no one who is actually helping me out, and I really don't want to go for any kind of job." He came to my office. We had a discussion. We wanted to create something on specs, manufacturing spectacles. So I felt that probably that's an interesting fact. Maybe I can connect technology with that. Uh, it was like out of passion, out of love. I saw someone in front of me who is just like me, looking for money, looking for guidance, looking for handshake. Can I help that fellow? It was a very small amount of 5 lakhs which I actually did. Yeah, it was not a huge amount of money. 2008, if you look at value of 5 lakhs, was not much, was not less as well. Yeah. But then after my first investment, when I go through maybe a couple of other investments, there was a learning curve. And when you invest, you need your return because it is your own hard-earned money which you are investing. Agree? Angel investment happens like that. Yeah. 2015-16, with that need, we launched a program called Entrepreneur Phase, not in India. I'll give you my learning curve. You can ask me questions, it's not a problem. Yeah. I really don't want to be monologue. The reason we started, didn't start it within India because that time Indian law for angel investment was not that cool. At least for people who wanted to invest money outside of India, it was not that cozy. We started this program in Middle East, and we started taking lot many people from Europe and Middle East alongside me to invest in startups. Eventually, we entered in European market and USA. 2017, a big change happened in my life. While investing money, I was meeting a lot of people. Like those are super rich guys, lot of funds, lot many PE. Okay, the gentleman in the back, can you enlighten me about PE? What is PE fund? No, that's the full form. What is the details? What is the difference between VC and a PE? Is there an exam going on tomorrow? Just asking. A small request. It's something called, there is a word in English. Do you know the meaning of respect? What is the inner meaning of respect? Bro, in front of me, I usually get 500, and that can go up to 5,500, can go up to few thousand people. You can YouTube me, you can see my speaking sessions. I love people always. But if you do this, what you are doing, my interest will go up. I'm not getting paid to come here. Yeah. I'm coming here just to share a good vibration. And the reason I changed my entire slide, I really don't want to promote virtual info. I don't need that. I actually wanted to give some value to you guys. I hope that will actually add up. If you want, please concentrate. If you don't want, I don't mind talking to maybe only one candidate in this room. I'm totally cool. No problem. Yeah. But please, If you're reading when I'm speaking, shall I take calls when I'm actually speaking? Shall I turn on my internet? You want to see WhatsApps and number of emails that I get in a particular moment? So that aggression totally changed into a giving back mindset. What happened that time? I was meeting a lot of HLI, a lot of people who have actually made significant amount of money. I met a gentleman from Japan who is probably one of the largest game publishing company owner. How many of you heard about Final Fantasy? I'm talking about the person who is founder of that particular company called Square Enix. We had a discussion. I was invited in his place. We wanted to expand. We started talking with each other. And I understood how humble this gentleman can be. Running a huge company, working with the entire world, he's so humble, grounded. I started meeting a lot of big shots from the market. I met a few bit of politicians. I met a couple of people who are ruling countries. I met someone who is CEO of Royal Family of Sharjah. And we started interacting with each other. We started talking. Instead of investing money only in startups, rather than can we create a model wherein a particular country can be benefited by cross-border investment and raising capital and improvising the startup ecosystem in their respective countries. So, ladies and gentlemen, I became advisor to Al-Qasimi family, if you have heard about that. It's ruler of Sharjah. And eventually, the concept came that can we make the country more vibrant? Eventually, I started entering into a lot of different powerful positions. I became jury for Startup India Award. I became part of Industry 4.0 from our Prime Minister's body. I became part of definitely in African countries. I met the vice presidents, I met the presidents. And we have been thinking together, can we create a larger ecosystem, a larger impact to make funding and market connect happen in this world? What we have understood, so far so good. Market don't need only investment. They need practically clients. If you are investing in a startup, I'm sure that my next speaker can actually talk a lot about what happens after funding. And if they don't get orders and if they have to execute a couple of orders, what happens? Yeah, this is the exact scenario for each and every startup that is there in these markets. Right. We started entering into those countries where blockchain, deepfake, these are new words. And people who don't understand technology, they don't have an inclination of investing in tech companies. I'll give you like this. Somebody made a lot of money probably from coal mining. Maybe a traditional business guy. They don't understand technology. So if you talk deepfake in front of them, they will never ever understand this. Right? Now to manage them, combine that, it needs a little bit of skill set. Now how will you manage them? How will you teach them what is deepfake? It's a challenge. Now this challenge became my challenge. As a technologist, it is very easy for me to understand, but how I can convince an investor to co-invest through our angel syndicate. So we started committing something which is like a 10x return of their investment. So whoever is investing money through us, we are committing a 10x growth of that particular amount. Pardon me for this statement of mine. I don't understand if you're doing due diligence, if you're doing so deep analysis of a startup, and after investment you say that out of 10 investment, if I get 2 success rate, 8 are failing, I'm cool. I don't understand this concept. Why will you then do all these due diligence? Then there is a problem. We started entering into that pain point of investors. It's completely fine if the company is not doing well. The M&A will actually happen differently. Probably you will acquire that. But what do you do after that? What is the exit strategy for these investors? How will you actually give them a proper structured impact investment plan? 2008, when I entered into all these big shots, biggies, handshake with people who are probably not there in media, but they make significant money, wanted to make more money. We started interacting with each other. What will be your commitment level? So from an entrepreneur to an angel to a fund creator, now it was time for me to create a vibrant ecosystem which can self-sustain and give a significant return to these people. So I need politicians, I need ministers, I need change makers, I need professors, I need candidates, I need startups, I need existing business people. Can we combine all of them into a common platform, and can we make a structured ecosystem? 2019, just before COVID, we launched a global program called World Leaders Summit. I'm not sure how many of you have heard about World Leaders Summit. I'm founder and chairman of World Leaders Summit for last couple of years. It is a 97 plus countries network wherein you can see probably all the presidents or maybe the country owners who are coming and sharing their own content. You can probably go for YouTube and check us out. It's not a big deal. We started a program called Investor Roundtable. During COVID in 2020 in Dubai, we started a concept called 10-10-10. 10th of a month from 10 different countries, 10 investors will actually check these startups, these businesses for actual value giving. Either handshaking with them as an investor, or if they don't want to invest money at this particular point, they can open their network in front of them. This sound a little bit of different because I'm in India till date, but the mindset of these people, Asians, Europeans, Middle East guys, are a little bit of different. Africans, bit of different. When you convince them, you are not actually investing only money, you are actually bringing your entire network. We don't want your sleeping money. We want your active participation. These guys, they usually say yes. That happened in 2020 and it became a little bit of success with Kamala Chamber of Commerce. It was not a program like a TV show. It was more of like within a room, one startup is actually pitching in front of 10 different investors. After raising capital of approximately, I think, 450 million in total in that particular exercise in a day, we started that structure in various different places in the world. So this is what happened. As I was saying, the vice president of the countries and others, we started getting all these people on board. We started getting all those politicians, change makers to make impact. This is how our pitching happens. No glory, nothing. Media news happens later on. We don't try to enter any kind of media when the people are pitching for so many reasons. Number one, there is an intellectual property probably is not there in the market. They can't share in front of the world. There are negotiations which is happening inside the room, which cannot be done in front of the media. For so many reasons, it is like this, and till date we are getting amazing, cool success. 2023, last year, probably I traveled like a crazy. It is truly like breakfast in India and then lunch in Europe and then dinner in Asia. It was like that. When this success happens, to be very honest, it is our honest duty to connect and continue that. It is from our dharma. We have three main gods, right? Creator Brahma, Protector Vishnu, Destructor Shiva. You combine three of them with Mahamaya, it becomes Param Brahma. That is pure hollow, pure nothing, right? Now to continue this journey, you have to play a role of Vishnu and Shiva both. Brahma can be done, creation can be done. If you create, if you don't protect it, it's not going to sustain. So the next phase that I'm waiting is basically, I mean, we can skip that, these are all press news that happen. I wrote few bit of books around 7 till 8. 6 are there in the screen. 8 is probably going to come. These are few bit of portfolio companies wherein we pumped in. These are few bit of success cases in various part of the world. When I talk about global accelerator and fund, yes, it's like that. Designed like this. It's not at all designed for only a particular country. Do we collaborate with others? Do we collaborate with some other VCs? Do we collaborate with some other PE funds? Yes, we do that. Is there any kind of legal compliance? Is there a complexity that is there? Yes, that is there. And that's the sole reason we handshake with several different, multiple number of legal bodies across the world, right? But when I look back to my life story, we used to create products like this. I'm really sorry I forgot that. There was a case study actually, two professors did about our company, how these things happened. But I'll show you something. This probably you have never seen before. It's a long back video. I forgot the year when it was uploaded. Just watch this. You have seen normal beer glass, right? It's not connected with any kind of computer. Standalone. Can you understand the complexity of that entire technology? We are not using any kind of device to connect his hand or his legs. It is detected utilizing a motion sensor. Exact, perfect detection. That particular VR device is not connected with any kind of PC. It's a standalone processor, server, storage system, and cloud network which is connected. All the products that we develop, unfortunately, India don't have the money. That's why probably you don't know us in that. Yeah. This device selling cost with the content is approximate $550 USD. If you think of the mindset of India, it's very difficult to make it profit. So how we are making money? What happened? I'll give you small tips. If you are a tech company or thinking of making a tech company, we raise capital in this particular product, not in the company. Okay. The reason I asked this gentleman, which is not there in this room, what is the difference between PE and a VC and angel? If you are willing to raise capital on your product, not on your company, the best option is to go with either the angels or the PE, not in between VC. PE is a big fund. But if you can convince them about your product and it is patentable, it can actually make a revolution. You can practically raise big amount of money. That starts with $100 million plus. Angels, if they trust you, they usually bring their own network. Now, example, if I am investing X amount of money, I'll definitely call to my angel friends and say that, you know what, this is the company, it looks really cool, why don't you check it? It's an internal communication that we do, either over a call or probably sending a mail or probably sending maybe a WhatsApp. Have a look. That's one of the best ways. And you may ask me, sir, how can you raise capital on a product? How will you give return to that particular investor? Because they are not going to get any kind of equity, but they actually co-own the product. I mean, if you know that, you can actually invest in products and become co-owner of the product and then eventually get an exit when the sales is happening. Can you raise your hand? You know the process? There is a legal compliance on this. Complexity is pretty simple. In our country, the legality says that you can actually do that. How you can do this? If you are actually willing to make something tangible, go for a trade license, register it properly, go for a trademark of your whatever product you are building. Before you go for registration, if you have an MVP, try to meet these people who are change makers individually. Maybe in a program, maybe in their office. Try to convince them how things can be done. With a simple LLP formation, you can practically do this on your product instead of your company. Okay. more screens now. So how exactly VCs are different from angels? What is GP? What is LP? I'm sure you know that. I'm sure you know all these terms. You are smart people. But to be very honest, when you raise capital from a VC perspective, the concept itself says that if I'm investing through a VC, I should get a decent amount of return. So my money, if it is 100, they will actually split it in various different companies. There is a smart model, which is called smart investment. I can put my own choice. I don't want to put my money maybe in technology. I want to go for maybe agriculture, maybe food processing. So if you pick up them, if you choose them, your money will go to that direction. It's just like your stock market, right? Now, who is going to take care of the business which is happening through the startups? A smart VC firm, they usually sit on the board of that particular company. They try to direct them, give them the market. If you look at the PE fund or royal family funds, the concept is different. Usually from the royal family, they don't try to interfere what is happening in this company. They don't. That's the concept. And that's the reason they keep a full-fledged office who is keeping track and communicating with these upcoming companies. So there are stages. If you really want to start your own venture, it can be done with a very simple concept. You really don't need to go for a high take, deep take. There are small concepts like, I'll give you one of our portfolio concepts. Have you heard about mohua as a flower?
Yes.
Yeah. One lady in Maharashtra, she started making mohua laddu. It gives an amazing energy to the body. Okay, not as a alcohol, not as a drink. Okay, it gives energy to you so that you can work more. And what we did, we connected with a spiritual leader to make this laddu as a prasad. If you try to teach the market, it's going to be difficult. But if you do that in that way, it's a smart movement. So that's what Co-Innovate Ventures does. Okay, I'll give you another example of another startup, which actually is really, really interesting to share. A guy came from a very small country in Europe, and they wanted to raise capital. Yeah, and they were not 10 investor roundtable. They only had a gas station, wanted to raise capital like a big money, big ticket size. But the founder was unable to understand that on a simple gas station, nobody is going to give him money. It's a simple gas station replica. So we had to create an ecosystem of gas station utilizing AI camera and blockchain. We roped in 3 different other startups to create the solution, make that actual thing happen, and then raise capital. So if sitting in this college, if you feel that you want to create a company which will be a fundable company, the best possible option for you is look at the market, try to understand the similar mindset people for you, handshake and collaborate with them. Don't think from which background they are coming. I mean, just think that probably if you have a mindset gel, it's amazing. Okay, I'll give you a few bit of stories of my life. Do I have time or I'm overshooting? Overshoot? Okay. Last night. How yoga training for you took place. I was in a Southeast Asian country, and I was in front of the sea, and I saw that there was a guy, very well built, looks like a bodybuilder, and he was talking to around, I think, 10, 12 decent Europeans, talking about Sanatan Dharma. And he was talking something which was not right. So I intervened him and said that, you know what, you're talking something which is completely different. This is not the way, this is the way. And after his session, he came to me, we started talking with each other, and realized that he is basically a BJJ champion. You've heard about BJJ? Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And he is giving training in MMA, which is mixed martial art, in that particular item. We started chatting with each other. Eventually, he brought in one gentleman from Ukraine, and we started chatting with each other again. Like it was a whole night discussion. And if I concise that entire discussion, both of them decided that it is needed in the world that they should promote yoga and they should actually give those trainings and good vibration to the team. It will be like a giving back kind of mindset. And they say that, can we have you on board? We don't need any kind of money. After 2 years, they felt that they want to scale up. They started raising capital from spiritual organizations. Have you ever heard about this? Spiritual organization is actually investing money to startups. So if you're thinking, sitting in this room, that the theory will work in funding world, like all those jargons will work. I didn't use any kind of jargon in my entire speech. To be very honest, in real negotiation, probably it's a job of the employee to check and detect and due diligence you. But at the top level, it is always about how you can tell your story, how you can negotiate, and what impact you can practically make in the world. And this is how the next generation funding world will work. People who are actually considering this, they are making money and they will make money. Thank you so much for listening to me, and I'm sure that I have bored you enough.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your interesting life story and your valuable insights. Before we proceed, I would like to invite Professor Sarangri to facilitate Mr. Bhattacharya, and then we'll proceed to the next session.
In the meantime, the floor is also open for Q&A. If anyone. Sir. Me.
Yeah, of course. I thought there is a question.
Sir, I have this question. You talked about when you meet one people, you meet their friends, and you collaborate, your network expands. This is kind of a network effect. Sir, but first of all, I want to know how this affected through the increase of your ventures. And secondly, how, as a person with not much of a background or not much of contacts, how you can actually meet these people to expand your network.
Okay, beautiful question. Well, to be very honest, there is no hard and fast formula. Your first question was that how I am running like this. I actually have to skip a lot of things from my slides. The way our company works, because of the leadership that we have. From the institute, we take people. Initially, they become employee. Eventually, they become team. They take a small bit of equity in the company. They own that particular division, not only salary. And it takes minimum 3 to 4 years to understand it. So to be very honest, I'm blessed by all these people who are actually running the show. Now, how will you get to know these kind of networks? There is a formula. I used to be an introvert guy. Would you believe? In my childhood, I used to be introvert like anything. I used to only draw, I used to paint, I used to play. No friends. But when I started my venture, I started meeting with people. If you really want me to answer this, meet everyone, talk to anyone. Go out, chat with everyone. If you're traveling in train, start talking. Pick up a topic. Put a controversial. You will get to know people. If you're traveling by flight, start talking. Go and meet people in the conference. Not with the speakers only. I'm sorry, I'm a speaker now, maybe, but you don't need to focus only on the speakers. Meet as much as people as you can. But it comes from the experience. You need to see in their eyes who they are, from their background. You need to understand them and then to collaborate with them. It took time. It's 25 years. It's not happened just like this. And there are programs like I can tell you those names. XES is one of the biggest in Thailand, run by Rupa, by my friend Ampe. Then Slash, That happens in Finland. Take stars, not in India. Yeah, meet them. Go, attend, mix, attend the hackathons. That's one of the best way to meet these people.
Hello, sir. Yeah, I'm Rahul. Thank you for the inspiring story. So I have a question around VC and startup ecosystem where India as a startup ecosystem is moving. So I have worked with VCs in my previous venture and even my current tech venture has attracted some VCs and I'm in talk with them. So I have seen a pattern where VCs are actively hesitant and reluctant to invest into startups which are innovative as well as where they have to create a new market, unlike US, where all these kind of startups are promoted. So if this continues, we are just going to keep copying what US is doing, keep copying each other. In fact, yesterday also I was in one of the VC pitching. So where a guy was pitching clear they could not copy. He even copied the name. It is just like Lenscard and they are projecting a revenue of 1,000 crores in next 3 years. So even if we go and see unicorn lists, most of them are literal copy of US startups. So how do we come out of this bubble where we are just copying each other instead of innovating? When the world is laughing at us saying that India cannot create open AI kind of technologies, VCs are indirectly responsible for
What is
this.
your question? What's your good name?
Yeah, Rahul.
Rahul what? Sorry.
Rahul Mathiyalli.
From which part of India you are?
I'm from Bangalore.
Bangalore.
Yeah.
Thriving in startup ecosystem.
Yeah.
Right. It's a fact. Agree. From Indian perspective, VCs or traditional investors don't understand technology. I just told you earlier. It will take a lot of time. Challenge is not from the VC's perspective. Challenge comes from education perspective. We forgot or we don't train students how to stand, how to speak, how to give respect, how to handshake, how to collaborate, how to think beyond their study. That's the main challenge. Let me finish. That's the main challenge. But there are few bit of foreign funds and individual investors who have an inclinedness to understand our model. They are coming now. 2024 to 2027, if God allows, we will see a lot of money pumping which will happen in our. The challenge is, it is happening through some zonal bodies who don't understand technology. So you need to connect these fund managers sitting outside of India utilizing LinkedIn instead of connecting the general partner here in India. Sorry for the straight answer. Because that general partner may not understand.
No, sir, not just if you see startups coming out of IITs or even institutes where they are trying to innovate rather than looking at big numbers right out of the school or institute. VCs, early stage investors, everybody are reluctant to invest into these new age entrepreneurs. So how do we even encourage people to come up with new ideas when the people who need to encourage, they are not actively encouraging and investing in these people or ideas?
Rahul, I have a question. I agree on it. But there is a question which is also from the opposite side of it. How will a VC understand that after 4 years you will pursue your dream? You will not drop it.
There is also a problem, I agree.
No counter question. We will have that offline. Okay? Have that offline. No counter question.
So it actually happens. I agree. Because Sir asked, but I'll give you small tips. It's also a challenge from the VC perspective to understand whether the startup will continue the journey, whether the idea will die on. And I agree, completely agree. But trust me on this, there are investors who are actually coming, who are practically investing on tech and innovation. And if you feel that I can be any of your help, note down coinnovateventures.com. I have 3 people who are coming from tech background sitting in India. You can apply online. It will ask you a lot of questions. If they are okay, more than happy to help you if you have any feedback.
Thank you. We'll take that offline. I'm sure he's there. We'll not let him go. Okay?
Any further question or shall we?
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, once again. We will now be starting with our next speech by Mr. Shamik Guha. And sir, the seat is
Mr. Shamik Guha, founder and CEO of Alta Smart Mobility, is a dynamic entrepreneur at the forefront of safety technology. He is renowned for developing India's first smart helmets. He gathered early recognition as a finalist in the India Innovation Challenge 2016, hosted by Texas Instruments and IIM Bangalore. His innovative smart helmets also secured funding and national level popularity on Shark Tank India Season 1. Beyond his CEO role, his diverse skill set, including graphic design and app development, reflects his multifaceted expertise. With a bachelor's degree in engineering and management, he's a dynamic entrepreneur who has been invited as a speaker to several engagements. His dedication to innovation and improving life makes him a remarkable force in India's entrepreneurial landscape. So, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Am I audible? Really?
Yes.
Right. So, firstly, thank you so much for having me here. I think it's an absolute honor to sort of be what definitely we can call one of the most premium institutions in the country and some of the brightest minds, right? And I'm sure most of you would, go out of here to become great managers and leaders of tomorrow. So definitely, it's a very, I would say, heartwarming experience for me to come here and meet you guys. Now, I would like to ideally keep it a little more interactive, right? So, how many of you have watched Shark Tank? Show of hands. Quite a few. Great. The most important question: which one do you like, season 1 or 2? Season 1, why? And any other reason why season 1 and not 2?
It was like a break from the reality shows that were happening.
Right. So, I think for all of us, why Shark Tank created such a big impact, right? I think it is one of the major catalysts, if not anything else, towards this huge change that is, happening in India, which is the wave of entrepreneurship and people actually learning the, very basics of doing a business, right? So, mom and dad having conversations with the son, over dinner table about margins, EBITDA, and I won't be doing a fourth wall break where you look into the camera and say, margin here, but that's a very Shark Tank thing. But I think that is helping, right? So for all of us out here, the reason probably you guys have called me also is because of his success. Because it's a truly new wave. It's something that is literally touching every single people, right? Across. So very funny experience. I mean, I come from a very normal, ordinary middle class background family in Kolkata. I think some of you would relate to that. Some of you may be, from different social background. But we never had any such glory moments, right? And like normal, very straightforward studies life. I happen to do well in studies. I have a friend, they were also sitting here with me from school. So we have been very normal in terms of our life. We went to class 10. We were told that you have to take science. Lucky for me, it worked out because I loved science and maths. But for most of my friends, it did not, and that's the most natural outcome. But then after +2, you do engineering, because you have to do it. There's no other option. To be very honest, we didn't know much also. So at that time, I didn't have an 18-year-old brilliant business idea that you could convince your dad. I don't want to do engineering. I just want to follow my dreams, the passion. So we went ahead into the engineering college, and lucky, of course, again. I think it's worth mentioning for any of you, even to a point where, say, you are sitting here today at XLRI in a program, you would consider yourself lucky somewhere. I'm pretty sure you would have friends who probably work harder than you, or probably are more diligent, but haven't made it here, right? So for all of us, whatever we try to do, there's a little bit of luck always that plays around. And so for me also that happened. I started exploring, I would say different kinds of technologies. Started dabbling with them, started reading about companies, about products, and so on. And we realized that something could be done here. So even in this whole journey of trying to find a little bit of success, and by the way, with the disclaimer, we are very young. Still, we're just starting out on our journey. We don't necessarily try to call ourselves successful. I think that's a very wrong word to use. We are on our journey. We are learning every single day. And we are just in a complete fight right now, trying to build something from India. Now, why exactly are we really taking entrepreneurship so seriously now? So I think there's a question that can come to all of you, right? So businesses have been on for whatever piece of recorded history we have in barter system, trades, commerce, whatever, right? I mean, we always want at the helm, right at the helm of it. But some things clearly changed over the last 500 years for which our mindsets have been shaped in a certain way, right? The whole colonial experience, the whole undermining of our values, our cultures, anything that is good in India, the whole undermining of this entire civilization, that actually has played a good part into where we are today, where, and of course, post-independence has been a huge, I would say, for lack of any better words, a socialistic move, a communistic move across the country, which really drove the idea of having businesses down, right? And really, I would say, villainize them. So think about it, right? All of you, no matter which part of the country you're from, definitely if you're from Bengal, you would relate to this. What is the primary source of content before internet that we used to have? The TV, right? TV, radio, whatever it is. Now imagine what are the shows running on those TVs, right? And how do they portray business, right? How do they portray people who are having the business, right? So it's all the time they are about to do something really shady, and they have a black suitcase and a briefcase with which they walk around. They have probably conned someone or have done horrible things with someone else. So that's a common narrative. If that's something that is going to every household, and we all know how much our parents love this series, right? I mean, they can literally do anything to not miss an episode. And I have fights about this myself at home, so yeah, I can relate. But it is that important, right, in shaping up mindsets and shaping up, I would say, thought processes. When the content you watch portrays people in a certain way, how can you expect the society to think differently? So that has always been the outcome. I mean, we all are privileged sitting out here, but if you also go a little deeper into your family, into your area, into some other people maybe who are at a little bit, behind you in terms of, I would say, the progress, right? You would see the mindset still exists. And if you are looking to earn money, if someone, like let's say a big seller, Shah Rukh Khan today has a lot of money, it's like something has got into his head, money has got into his head, right? And he's not thinking straight. That negativity still lies very much in a country like India, and that is primarily what was stopping us from truly attaining our potential. Right? So now think about it. I think one gentleman is not here. He mentioned a very good point on why why are most Indian startups simply copies? Right? Very, very true, very fair. It's something that I have spent a good amount of time thinking myself. That I think it was you, right, to put that question. So it's a very legitimate point that why are people simply copying ideas of the West? So here I have a very small theory. I would like to put it out. Let me know if you agree that. In particular, right, the wave started in the West. Right? How we all know why Silicon Valley is called Silicon Valley. Right? Simply because the silicon chip, the semiconductor, that was primarily developed there. Fairchild Semiconductor, the whole the thing around Intel, how it was starting. Right? So that developed this movement of products around semiconductors or electronics or IoT. Right? That primarily, happened to be the reason that was called the Valley. Now, something that happens over there and in a certain pace with a certain society has taken time to populate and go to the rest of the world. And right now we are in India. Cool. Is it better? Yes. So the way those ideas are flowed in the time frame, you would see that now we are in a position where Indians start. So see, what would you do when a new employee comes to your office, right? Who doesn't know anything about the work? First, you have to train them. First, you have to make them get used to a system. By probably, this is one of the learnings, by not asking him to get overwhelmed with a lot of new stuff suddenly. Because then he'll get switched off. You'll have to get him used to the system. You'll have to slowly bring him in. Once he's there, if he's a right potential candidate, then he can really contribute and make leapfrogs. So in a broader way, India is at that task, right, where we have had some bit of nurturing, say the early Flipkart stories, the Ola stories and so on, which has bred the first generation of really global entrepreneurs from India. And now we are at this stage, which is 2022, 2023, 2024, where we are now looking to take it to the next level. So I am fairly confident that going forward, and we at Alta are primarily trying to do exactly that, which is like building something, not really, giving a fly about what the Silicon Valley does or they say, but really building global tech from India, from the core of this plan. And I am fairly confident that more and more entrepreneurs and this wave would also keep increasing. So definitely, as us, in this part of the room, we all have that responsibility to really solve Indian problems, right, and not necessarily be copycats of our Western, I would say pioneers or whatever. So then that gives us the question: what are Indian problems, and how do you identify Indian problems, right? So I find it very interesting that people often look everywhere, right, for the right idea. People are going helter-skelter, they're asking their friends, family members, people they know, they don't know, whatever. And what is the idea I should work on? What is the $1 million idea? You would see 1,000 YouTube videos with that thumbnail. The next $1 million idea, the next $1 billion idea, probably getting lakhs of views. But really, no one needs to go, to that extent in order to find an idea. Guys, ideas are overrated, right? I think all of us understand here, and if not, please, let's be very clear on this. Ideas are always overrated. No one has made money on ideas. It is always the execution. It is always what you actually do on ground, right? We love thinking because ideas give us a dopamine hit, right? We feel we are very smart. Oh God, what a brilliant thought. No one has thought about this before in this entire world or history of mankind. But the moment you go out to start execute it, you would realize that probably there are 50 people who have not only done this, but even documented their failures. If you would have done the simple job of reading them, half of your efforts would have been saved. So execution is what matters. Right? So when we are looking to really execute an idea or really work hard towards it, it is that which gives us the value. Right? So it is extremely important for us to, I believe this personally, you may disagree and I would love to hear your thoughts. One should think very big, but one should start small. One has to first understand his immediate neighbors, right? His immediate surroundings. Now let's imagine you're all students, you're all prospective MBA graduates, right? So what are your surroundings? Just try and think about this, right? Most people in and around your batch would be from a certain age group. They would be from a certain income group. Broadly, we can classify that. I mean, they won't be, say, let's just call it, beyond a certain level, and they also won't be extremely above a certain level, right? So we can figure out some PG in that regard. So who are we looking to talk to, who are we interacting with? The simplest thing one can do, and it really surprises me that people don't think about it enough, is why do you not just take a friend of yours, or whoever is the person who is your best friend, just identify from morning since 9 before he goes to bed for 7 days, what are the things he's doing? What are the things he's spending his time and money on? Right? What are the things that he really purchases or looks to purchase, or something that excites them? This simple task would give you an idea on what that broad PG are looking for, right, in that particular age group, in that particular demographic. Once you know that, do the simple task of trying to make any of that better, right? It's very simple. It's really overthinking that, I would say kills most of the things at an early stage. It's simple execution, guys. What you need to do, try and identify any of those things. So let's take any example. Any of you have anything in mind that you love doing? Just go on and talk about it.
I don't have anything I love doing, but I have identified something which I felt that technically is a solution to. So the thing is, all of us came here to do an MBA, and what I noticed, and I'm sure everyone over here did, was that there is often we face a lot of difficulty with regard to how to navigate life, right? And there are so many committees, there are so many courses, there are so many, like for instance, you will have to call sales people to the session. What's the exact process for that? Who do you have to get permissions from? Whom do you have to speak to? By what name do you have to be from? And there's just so much information, and it's very, and every year, different sets of people do the same thing, go through the same process, and that lack of information or dearth of information continues to persist. So they have to expect the same amount of effort that the people before them did.
Probably even more, right? Because probably they don't know part of it, even more.
Probably, yeah. So I feel like I keep wondering if there could be a solution to all this. Maybe, I didn't think very deeply about it, but something that I thought of was perhaps, to just jot down, speak to seniors, speak to professors, speak to the admin, jot down whatever learnings you have onto a PDF or something. And then, nowadays we have you can use ChatGPT.
It's a lot that can be done.
Yeah, so then you just create a chat app where you can simply ask, what time does this food operate? How do you build your thing? Or how do you add something?
So yeah, I mean, 100% agree. So there's just one problem, right? Very real problem. You have to do. I don't know. I'm coming here for the first time, but probably this is very common for you guys, right? Having these sessions and having people over. So definitely the organizers would know some problems that they have to face on and on, right? So any solution around that. Just imagine if it makes the whole process better. Say XLRI can be a customer, very much, right? And then you simply have to take it to the other colleges. But very true, and I'm really happy you mentioned that point. So what I'm trying to harp on is there are simpler problems for you to look out. Don't suddenly, if you're dabbling into entrepreneurship for the first time, if this is your first ever venture, you have not done anything of this sort before. Don't suddenly try and go out to, I would say, solve the most global problem ever in one night. No, it doesn't work like that. Start small. Look at people around you. Look at problems around you which are simpler to identify, simpler to crack. Just go about that because it's experience that will only take you to a point when you will get that perfect idea for you to take it forward. So I think that is really one of the points you mentioned. Also reminds me of a fun experience at Shark Tank. So when we were pitching, also there was a similar kind of a you'd know, right, where the product shelves are placed and there's a screen next to it. So when we were pitching, there was some issue with the projector. And I remember so Anupam was telling us that this is such a common problem, right? In sessions and events, there are always some issues or the other with the projector. When something connection problem happens, some other issues crop up. So they were like, why is India not building a really smooth projector experience company, right? So something that would literally be present at every office if it has that potential, right? Simpler things like building a brilliant chair. I'm just saying as an example, right? In India, most people have back problems, but there are no real good companies until very recently which are working on these simple solutions, right? Problems which exist for every one of us. So yeah, I think as MBA students or as potential MBA graduates, it is very important, therefore, for us to think India, right? To think and look for problems because imagine the potential, right? The West has its market; it always did whatever the aspiration factor. Just imagine how India is looking to position itself in a world stage, right? We are looking to become sort of the voice of the global South, the real people who would look up to us, the entire developing belt of the world, right? And the world is really shifting from that Eurocentric, white-centric philosophies and I would say mindsets, and now really starting to look at India as a very proper, I would say, option. So look at things like very recently, one guy from Kolkata worked on a startup called Wah Puchka, right? So we all have Puchka, Golgappa, whatever we call it. He's just branded it up. There is a very good show, and there's a business. The moment you have people paying for this service or the product, it's a business. It's up and running, right? So anything and everything that you could spend their money on should be a target for all of you to think about. Right? Please take that as an exercise and do this with your friends. I'm sure all of you will come up with brilliant startup ideas. Right? So that is really critical. The other point I really want to harp on is, so I was trying to think, right, what all other things I can say. Like most of you definitely are fairly sure are smarter than me. You all have cracked, CAT, SAT, whatever the brilliant exams out there. And you all are, intelligent, definitely. So what I can add for sure is some of the experiences that I have had in this journey, and the good part is I can relate. So I can also relate with people just here. I don't know, maybe from attendance or some other issues, which is the professors really putting pressure. I understand that, but there are also maybe people who are really looking to understand and learn something. So it's completely fine. I've been on both these situations myself. So that's one part. Secondly, what I was coming down to is how are MBA roles applicable in the real world, right? So I'll tell you why I'm talking about this. Recently, if any of you is following us on Instagram in any way or LinkedIn would know that we've been really looking out for HR, founders office roles recently. So we faced a lot of experience in this hiring process and understanding what candidates are coming. So I just want to ask a very simple question. So what's the most famous MBA department in XLRI? So can any of you help me understand what is the role of an HR? What does an HR do? And please be right. Sorry, someone. Anyone just random throughout whatever you can.
I like that people with the company's own strategies.
Sure, okay, yeah. Anything else?
Facilitation between the management and the employees so that the peace allows like
Also that. Anything else? Why is no one mentioning Rangoli? Maybe that can also be a part. But no, I think the broad points were highlighted. And you know, when we do a startup, so I've never been a part of any MBA school, right? Myself. I'm doing this right out of engineering. So we have had to learn about these rules very ground up. We never got any sort of lesson or any course material, so to say, to understand what an HR does. What did we do? So how do things start? You basically have an idea. You find other relevant people. Now you start building that product, whatever shape or form. You bring it to reality, and then you see, okay, this has some potential. So then you hire more people who can now replicate that or work on improving the efficiencies. Then you have to scale, right? You have to sell it to people. You need to market it properly. And during this entire process, your team builds, right? This is the simplest way to put it, I think. So when the team builds up, there are things like, of course, the obvious ones, which is managing payrolls, right? Managing leads, managing things like basic communication stuff like that. That is a requirement very much. So I think all of us are aware of that. But what is more important is, and I truly feel, right? I can be speaking a little early on this, but I truly feel all these basic obvious things would get automated over the next 10, 20, 30 years, right? Because in every sector this is happening, and you can just simply think anything that is that process driven and that doesn't require any innovation in thinking has to get automated in near future, right? There's no other way for it. But what is more important? What is a bit that cannot be automated so easily? That is understanding the human resources inside the company. And no one talks about this enough, right? So I'm trying to interview many people at this point of time, talk to professors about it, but somehow this gets missed in the broader realm of things. That an HR primarily should understand if there are 10 people in the company, and HR should understand who out of those 10 people, if you all have heard of Pareto's law, 80% of the work is done by 20% people. First, they should identify who are those 20% people who are doing the 80% of the work. Those people are the A-listers, the category A guys, right? They have to be respected, for lack of better words, wash their feet, put it somewhere, and then ask others to, see how to go about it or how to really learn, right? They have to be given the respect and they have to be acknowledged. Similarly, we have to identify who are the B category guys. There's often an example or an exercise that is the commitment versus capability graph. You can have low commitment, high commitment, low capability, high capability. So high capability, high commitment, A-listers, bots of the company. Then comes the two edge cases, which is high capability, low commitment, or high commitment but low capability, right? And HR has to know and understand these categories, and HR has to do this. There's no template. This I'm saying, of course, like we worked on it ourselves. If you Google, you'll find many other templates. But the primary role of the HR has to be in understanding and making value out of these human resources, right? There are so many people I speak to or I meet on a daily basis who give out answers like, the only 3 jobs are payroll management, leave management, and finalizing the insurance policy. Okay, great. I mean, that is something for sure we need, but please understand what we need beyond this. Why are you valuable? Why can someone not just pick you out of the company tomorrow? If you drive and if you actually have these core, I would say, systems in place, right, to understand people and to understand the human resources. Similarly, I think a lot of rethinking needs to be done in departments like marketing. Right? It's a buzzword. All of us like to say, that we are thinking of marketing, we are thinking of strategy. Strategy and marketing, 2 words, I really take with a lot of pinch of salt at this point of time, right? Because for me, it just increases the development loop, the discussion loop for us, right? So why marketing needs to be rethought in today's world? Like, can anyone before that help me understand what is marketing? Anyone? Any show of hands? Anywhere? Guys over there, anything you guys can add? Just I want to know just what is marketing?
Just to understand your product, how you can price it, how you can promote it within your target market, and just to explore all aspects of it, so that you can gain higher sales and higher visibility in the market.
Sure. partially correct. I'm looking for a more broad overview. So pricing, positioning is one way, right? What is a one level higher? Sure.
So to create a certain kind of perception about the product or the brand that the company wants to the customers, then marketing involves certain activities which should ultimately lead to the objectives that is pointed out, but mostly it's about creating that sort of brand perception.
Correct. So broadly there, I would say awareness, making people know that we exist. Simple. उसके बाद उनको खरीदना है कि नहीं वो आके खुद choose करेंगे. But we need to make people know that we exist. That's the broad purpose of marketing, right? Now imagine what are the ways we do it in today's world. There is of course very strong digital angle of things. Right? So most of the things, I think we all can agree here that our generation and the generations, especially below this, to a good degree about this also, our discovery entirely happens online. Do we agree? How many of us go out on store shelves today to know about a product first? No, we already know them, that's why you go to the shelf to pick it up, really, right? So the discovery process is completely changed. It's entirely online. It's something that we discover via, scrolling our feeds, checking out reels, checking out posts online. So similarly, look at the distribution media, right? To a good degree, and I would say up until 2022, 2023, just imagine what massive boom was there for B2C companies, right? It's still there, but there's still a big shift coming, where the entire delivery process for simple things like basic stuff around you, you just had it delivered, right? So that was the major uniqueness there, that you don't have to come out of your room or your house, go out to the shop to make a purchase. We will come, we will give it to you at your doorstep, and for that we'll charge money. It's only now that companies are figuring out that Indians are not really ready to pay that much, right, for this sort of service. So now companies are more shifting towards an offline plus online distribution model, right, which is more omni-channel. Imagine a lens card today, right? I mean, they have absolutely perfected this, to a very core degree, which is the entire discovery process. I'm sure all of us have been flooded by lens card messages. You have 3,000 rupees a voucher in your wallet, right? We never checked it, but they are making the entire distribution, of the products through an offline phase, but they're making the discovery completely online, right? So these are nuances. Now imagine someone coming in today with an old school marketing viewpoint, which just talks about advertisement, ETL, BTL, all of that, and suddenly tries to tackle a problem in this new world. Would that person really succeed? The answer is no. I mean, it's very evident. So it requires new age thinking. It requires you to be very frugal and understand that spending money and making yourself visible is always an option. It's an option for everyone, right? So, of course, the guys with the deepest pockets would win that battle very clearly, right? Because you can't put in that much of money otherwise. Now that you know this is the adversity, this is the problem, what do you exactly do to solve it? That is a very clear new age marketing thinking, and that can involve extreme frugalness, right? Trust me, there are no rules, literally. So I would encourage all of you to go ahead and read a few books if you want. One of them being No Rules by Reed Hastings. He's an Netflix founder. So there are literally no rules. If you can go about, make people aware of your brand, of your product, and do it at a very minimal, I would say, resource utilization of the company, you have succeeded in that goal. So that kind of a frugal, innovative, driven thinking is what is required in my understanding in most of these disciplines of MBA, right? Because trust me, the use case of an MBA degree, according to me, is the network. This is this peer group that you are getting, right? Try and brainstorm ideas, try and shoot ideas off of each other to understand what that other person is thinking, whether you are thinking right, whether he's thinking right, whatever. But discuss these, right? And of course, have fun. I mean, I'm sure you are doing that without me having to tell you. But these are the years that you will later sort of look back upon and think that there is so much you could have done here, right? This time, this energy, this room, the support that I'm sure all of you get from XLRI. So make good use of it in understanding these points. So these were the two broad topics I wanted to cover. And yeah, I would be fairly happy if you have any questions. And that can be anything. So if you think you want to ask some questions on Shark Tank on that episode, how many of you have watched the Anchor episode? Great. Any questions from that? So why am I not getting the question, Neki? Why Namita and Naman and all the others? This is the most Yeah, sorry. That's true. So people actually follow. But yeah, let's open it up for questions. Any question about anything if you like.
Hi sir, so I'm currently first year student in VL. So I had a question regarding the company Alta Smart Mobility. So in the episode that we saw on Shark Tank, you talked about it being basically a SOS system that alerts people and solves the problem of having basically smart helmets. But again, it was pointed out that they were really expensive to go comparison to normal helmets, right? So currently, what is the vision of the company as it stands? Like, you planning on reducing the cost, or you planning to increase more types of SKUs and increase like, units, like to helmets and verticals or different types of helmets, or like what is the vision company trying to go? Thank you so much.
So yeah, there's a reason why I actually didn't talk much about it because it's much better if you ask questions and then I say, right? So rather than me just trying to go about saying this is what we do. Anyway, so what do we do at Altos? Again, just for those of you who don't know, we are a smart mobility company. One of the first products that came out on Shark Tank also, which you guys saw, was a smart helmet. That's actually India's first proper truly smart helmet. So to your question, definitely we had gone out with just one product back then, which was having sort of everything in it, right? If you remember that had the hands-free features, the accident detection, SOS, all of it, right? Together. So after Shark Tank, the major thing that happened was the outreach, right? Clearly, and we were absolutely overwhelmed with the kind of responses we got. That also gave us good data sets to understand what people want, what people are looking for. So again, an advice to all of you: when you think of ideas or anything, before getting too excited, validate it with users, right? Try and bounce it off to potential customers. We have done that, but not to this scale, which was possible after Shark Tank, only because now the entire flow was incoming, right? So we were joking about it to the companies were calling out, they're not answering us or answering our phone calls. Now they started calling us. It's a pure reverse scenario. We realized our products needed to be streamlined into 2 or 3 variants rather than clubbing all of it together. Right? So we actually did that entire process, and now there are multiple price brackets for different offerings. So, say for example, an industrial person who is running a fleet, right? Say any company today who has a bike fleet. For them, what will be the most important use case? It is to understand whether the employees are at all wearing a helmet or not. Right? Similarly, if they are not, then they should be penalized. But there is no system that exists currently to do that. That's exactly where Alpha comes into play. You remember we had a helmet wear feature as well. That along with chill start locking, and we are even plugging it to the vehicle immobilizer, which is if you don't wear the helmet and lock the chill start, the vehicle won't start. And this can be pushed going forward to a mandate or policy change. So that is one area. On the consumer front, the average biker, they are more excited about the cool aspects of the product that they can show off, right? With the gesture enablement. Anything that is purely, touch enabled and there are no buttons. It looks good. There is good audio experience. So for the consumer side, we are focusing on that. And then similarly, we are working very closely on software. So that, the whole crash detection system, the behavior profiling, this can be scaled much easily. Because hardware has its own limitations. There is only certain people who can pay a certain price, and you cannot truly, because we believe at Alpha, the mission is to save lives, right, on the road. You cannot truly democratize that space without a software intervention, where the costs are lower and therefore you can scale it easily, right? So yeah, that's where we are in terms of the products. There are multiple price points now. So the one at Shark Tank was around 5,000. Now on the consumer front product, we are keeping it anywhere in between 3.5 to 6.57. On the industrial side, of course, it's different variable pricing based on the volume.
Hi, Shamiz. Thank you so much for the session, and I'm from second year of therapy. Obviously, we know that your journey was inspired by an incident was that you spoke greatly, and just wanted to understand now that you've moved ahead so far, and there would be obviously an eye for someone entering as a new competitor for you, or trying to replicate what you want to do. Obviously, patenting comes with it. Or like, is there any other technology that people are creating which could potentially capitalize in an sort of a, not a direct way, indirect way? So how do you keep track of all that thing, and what is your outlook basically on if there's any technology that can update in that sense?
Sure. So, I think you mentioned the word patent. I think there is a lot of misunderstanding and, you know, wrong conceptions of patent. So, patent is basically a very small protection document, right? On a global scale, at a level where there are multiple countries and multiple countries looking for a particular opportunity, patents really don't help you that much, right? It can for stuff like if you say tomorrow something that fundamental like say electrons don't exist. Just example I'm saying like there's some other tron that always used to be there, and we just learned about it, and you find a way to extract that say from it. For something was fundamental you can do, but imagine whatever we are trying to build right now are more consumer techs, right? In consumer tech space, patents are possible. We already have filed for a few of them. But if a brand or if a company or a young startup is simply thinking that having a patent would solve all the problems, that doesn't. So it's usually you have to work on building the brand. People have to know that Altor is a company that is associated with this kind of solution, with this kind of product set in this market. That's what can help you in the long term. Now, speaking of competition, out of India, we already have competitions, right? So we already have multiple players who are similar in this smart helmet space or in this whole ride analytics and accident detection space. But we realize that in the developing market, which is our proposition, that we are building it for the developing world first, and not necessarily for the developed nations to start with. Here, major competition will come after we have thoroughly proven the market. So all the big players either at this point are working with us, right? Or they're waiting to see how this whole thing turns out because it's a completely fresh market. One needs to understand. So, like, two-wheelers have been worked for a really long time. But just imagine last 20 years, the kind of bikes you saw coming out, right? So, they have changed immensely. Like in today's world, and Ola and Ether, these things, they're so much more functional. And people have so much expectation from an EV, which they never had from an ICE vehicle. So, consumer mindsets are changing. This whole market is going through a paradigm shift. And there, people are waiting for companies like Altos, the big brands, right, who can just come in with the muscle power. They first need validation on how the market is actually receptive to this whole change. And once we put that out, we're fairly sure there will be big names coming in. But of course, by that time, we'll have our guardrails in place, right, to protect. Cool. Yeah. Any more?
Hi, Shana. In the initial part of your talk, you talked about tinkering with ideas and thinking about them. So I just wanted to know some of the ideas which you tinkered in the starting of your entrepreneurial journey, and what was some learning from it, and how you stumbled upon this idea for smart living.
Sure. I think very good question. So we till very recently, I think till a couple of years back, we used to maintain a diary. And that diary by that time when we stopped had close to 250 plus such ideas, right? Which we keep writing down. But how do we think about ideas, right? So I mentioned about it a little earlier that I think we need to think really big. That the ambition should absolutely be to build a $1 trillion brand, $1 billion brand, whatever is comfortable. But you have to start small. You have to start with whatever is around you. So one exercise that I was suggesting is definitely that speak with your friends, right? Try to understand their spending patterns, their likes, their dislikes, sort of stuff they want to put their money on, right? Once you identify, you actually document them, right? It's a very simple exercise. You just document that A, B, C, D, E are my 5 friends. I've observed them from day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, day 7. X, Y, Z, other things that they each of them like. Once you do that, then by this time, I'm assuming you're in an MBA college, you have about 22 plus probably, high chance. So you should have some idea, and if you don't take it in a wrong way, you can still develop it in a way. You should have some idea of what you like to do, right? Very broadly. You may not have figured out whatever the cool word, what is that ikigai, right? So I need to do this and so on. But you should have some understanding on what the broad field is that you want to do. Like by now you know whether you want to be excited building a bridge or maybe running marketing for a company, say for example. With that thought and with those documentation of the things that you found out, try and see where your interest would fit, right? So it can be, say for example, someone, I'm just giving very random examples, say someone uses a certain kind of toothbrush, you think, no, I can make this really better, right? And I have an idea in mind. I love working on products and making it. and you come up with a prototype with which you can just show it to him or demo it. If not, try and find something else that is relevant to you, right? So simple things like if you like cooking, see what that guy is eating or what those people are eating and see where you can add value. So anything around that can be product, it can be software, can be anything that's edible. Try and work something out and just present it to that person only, or those 5 persons. See, this is something I have got. You were already spending 5 rupees. Very important line. If you go ahead and bring something new to us as Indians, we'll resist. Like, I was not spending money on this. Why are you suddenly making it free? It's not fair. But if you can go and tell it, dude, you are already spending 10 rupees on this. I have made this, which will make you spend 8 rupees, but it will say taste better, or it works better, or you don't have to put so much effort of brushing your teeth here and there and do stuff. It will simply do the job for you if you hold it together. Right? These kind of propositions make adoption easy. We have done many things. Just if you try to now come back, you have made adoption easier. When you actually talk to a potential customer and sort of give him that feeling that I'm co-building this with you. You are a part of the process, right? Which is why DIYs work, right? You are already bringing him halfway, right? Now, if you can actually build it and give it to him, there is a high chance he will take it. So you have the first customer. Congratulations. Now, simply look for people like him around you, right? And increase the market in that fashion. You would see that probably, say, if it's someone X, you would see that within your network, you would find 10 other X. Then you slowly go from here. Right? You try to understand the needs, make the product better. If you need funding. So again, if you come down to funding, don't look for funding first. That's a very wrong approach to building anything, right? I mean, there are many things we learned in our journey, and I definitely want to share that. Is funding should come as a much later thought for you. Try and build it from the customer money. Try and build prototypes from your savings. Anything that you can save up to, and we all are. I'm sure in this income bracket, India is not a place where there's a lot of friends and family money, right? What in the West there is. We used to be very unsure about this. The people are saying, "Oh, you guys are young. You should first take money from friends and family." But there's no one to give. Most of our families won't be able to support anything around that time. So build with your own savings. Apply for government grants. There are many programs happening in and around. Try and convince people who are easy to convince. Right? So for Alta, what happened was initially we got a grant of 1 lakh rupees from our college director. I mean, back in 2018, nobody knew us, literally, and we hadn't done anything before that to make us, worth of that 1 lakh. But it was someone who we knew. It was someone who had seen me personally over the entire course of my graduation, and probably knew that he had something in him that supported him. So these are door knocks that you'll have to do. Right? So then, I think the way I told you, that should be a more healthy approach to building, to finding ideas. You can of course go and spend hours, days in a whiteboard trying to figure out what's the next billion. But my thesis is that won't get you there because what are the problems? It's only in your head. You are not actually validating it to the customer, right? So there's a higher chance of that failing versus if you build something primarily from the validation of the customer, then look to expand that and funding becomes your way to scale that process to actually make things a lot more accessible at lower costs and to actually give it out to more people.
Thank you, sir, for your thoughtful answers. I'm sure that has added a great amount of value to this summit. So I invite Professor Saigi to hand over a memento.
Thank you, guys. I really love speaking with all of you. I'm happy to help any of you offline, with anything that you need.
Plus, we are just a few kilometers away in Kolkata. Any of you looking to really come down, drop our office, understand how things work, is most welcome. Thank you.
The cameraman is also.
Now for our final session for the XLRI Entrepreneurship Summit 2024, we have a panel discussion where we have brought together a distinguished group who have made significant contributions to the world of entrepreneurship. Their diverse experiences promise a dynamic and engaging conversation. Without further delay, let me introduce you to our esteemed panelists for this session. First, we have Ms. Maya Payal Mitra, a LinkedIn top voice with 15 plus years in tech, nominated for Wellbeing Entrepreneur of the Year Award 2023 and top 5 women entrepreneur for mental health advocacy. From engineer to movement therapy practitioner, her journey breaks barriers. She's also the founder of Move with Maya, a Guinness World Record participant and winner of Outlook India Responsible Tourism Awards 2020. She's a thought leader in creating psychologically safe workplaces. Next, we have Ms. Dhairya Gangwani. Ms. Dhairya Gangwani is an engineer turned management consultant who is now a full-time career coach and content creator. She has worked with KPMG in India as an associate consultant. She has delivered over 500 plus talks all across the globe in the past 3 years. And as a career coach via her initiative Dhairya Equals, she has been able to impact 10,000 plus working professionals and students. Finally, she has amassed over 1 lakh plus followers across social media platforms and delivered TED Talks and Josh Talks as well. Next, we have Mr. Manish Kumar. Mr. Manish Kumar is an industry leader with an experience of 12 years. Currently, he is the founder and CEO of Insights DNA. Insights DNA is a web analytics and LinkedIn marketing agency which helps clients in making data-driven decisions and building their brand on LinkedIn. He holds a master's degree in operational research from Hansraj College, Delhi University. Mr. Manish has also received recognition from the industry as a CEO of the Year, 40 Under 40, LinkedIn Creator Accelerator Program member, and Humans of Bombay, among others. He also gives mentorship and had multiple speaking engagements in various colleges and corporations like Delhi University, IILM, Amity University, NAS Summit, among others. Finally, we have Mr. Sar Jamal. He is the founder and CEO of SETI, which is the world's first community marketing and management SaaS using AI chatbots. He is a graduate of the prestigious Institute of Chemical Technology in Mumbai with a passion for entrepreneurship. His startup was incubated at IIT Madras, and it is also the winner of IIT Mumbai's Eureka 2023. He is involved in the startup programs by Google Developers, Foundership, and Deshpande Startups. Please join me in welcoming them with a huge round of applause.
The theme for today's panel discussion revolves around the theme: are the fundamental qualities an entrepreneur needs changing with the recent disruptions? Our panelists bring a wealth of knowledge and experience, each offering a unique perspective on the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead in the entrepreneurial landscape. Throughout the discussion, we encourage you, our audience, to actively participate by sharing your thoughts and questions. We have a Q&A session towards the end, so keep those questions coming. So I want to start off with a very simple question. So given that we're discussing the fundamental qualities of entrepreneurs, being entrepreneurs yourself, and having interacted with several entrepreneurs, I wanted to understand what do you think has recently changed among the traits and qualities that entrepreneurs have exhibited in your interactions early in your career and in the recent years?
So I think in the recent times, what I think more entrepreneurs need to have as traits is first is perseverance. So perseverance is I think the most important trait which an entrepreneur should have, which is to continue even if you have all kinds of obstacles in your path. Because a lot of people nowadays, especially people of my age, are very curious. They are always looking for the next opportunity. They are always looking for the next trend, for the next big thing to take on. And that's where we probably miss out on waiting on and keep working on the same opportunity which we have been working on. Continue and do this even if the things sound boring to others, even if it doesn't sound or looks working out for you. perseverance is very much important for entrepreneurs today's days. And the second thing I would say is courage. A lot of us, a lot of people around us have all the information which our seniors or very senior entrepreneurs like Vijay are here, they didn't have. They didn't have access to all kinds of information at that easily as we do. They didn't have access to the mentors that we have. The only trait which I think is much more required today to start is courage, because you should have you should dare to dream, and then you should have courage to pursue that dream. Everything else what you need right now is provided by the ecosystem around us. A lot of people here in the industry are very kind and very sweet, and they help you with whatever you want. You just need to have the courage to start up your entrepreneurial ventures or whatever you want to do in life. And then I think the rest of the things you can easily find online or with kind mentorship and support from other industry leaders in the market.
Thank you, sir. First of all, I'm assuming like everybody is very interested in entrepreneurship, right? That's why we are here, right? So please feel free to ask as many questions you can related to the entrepreneur. Why it is important? Because these kind of sessions are very less, especially the panel discussions. Usually people come, they tell their own story, and of course then you can just learn something from them. But in discussions, what actually happens when we have a roundtable discussion with 4 people, 5 people, or 6 people, you will get the different perspectives of just one question. So that it would be easy for you to understand that okay, which perspective would be best suited for me. There is a possibility that whatever Saad has actually mentioned, that probably not be very suited for you, but probably what Maya is going to tell you that will be more suited to you, right? Because there's a difference in the perceptions. The perspectives are very important, specifically in the entrepreneur. Now let's talk about the question. I would say there are two things. One, which hasn't changed, is the profitability. I'm a very traditional businessman, and I feel that the more simple you are, the better businessman you can be. So you just have to understand what is my revenue, what is my cost, how can I make a profit. Irrespective if you have taken a loan or maybe funding, you have to understand what would be my cash inflow and outflow. Now the second point which I feel which has recently changed, it was not there, or I would say people were not very aware or educated that how we can leverage our personal brand specifically on LinkedIn. Because for any entrepreneur journey or any kind of business, if you really want to do probably in next, let's say, few years, you have to start building your personal brand from today. So if I give you a very classic example, I started my LinkedIn journey in 2019 by just sharing the post, just like this. Read this, read that. I like it, I like that. But of course, that didn't work, right? In 2020, because I started my business in 2020 after spending approximately 9 years in corporate. So in December, I decided to start with LinkedIn. And after creating content, after meeting people there, I got to know just one thing. If you have created your personal brand in a very right, with the right strategy, the execution will happen. Probably maybe after 12 months, maybe after 2 years. But it will definitely happen. So every entrepreneur, especially in the digital era, have to understand there is no problem of the funding. The problem, how you can get the attention of the other person. And the best piece is, especially in digital era, we have LinkedIn or Twitter. Of course, for LinkedIn, it is very easy. If you have created a personal brand, when I say personal brand, you have to share very thoughtful content. You have to engage people. You have to make good relationships with them so that you can learn from them and you can see how you can create business out of it, how you can create ROI out of it. So I believe creating personal brand is very important these days, irrespective if you're doing a business now or if you're planning to start a business probably after 3 years or 5 years, and make sure don't get distracted by funding news or anything, because irrespective if you have funds or not, if you have an execution plan, you can easily get customers on LinkedIn. Thank you.
Am I audible? Thanks so much, Saad and Manish, for sharing your insights. So if I could just share a little bit about my entrepreneurial journey, it's an accidental entrepreneurial journey, so to speak, and I could totally relate to Arijit's story of coming in from an age and time when we did not have access to any of this. Today most of you are fortunate enough to have an e-cell within your MBA schools, or you have so much of content around in the digital platforms that you can really learn so much about entrepreneurship. But for me, at least I can speak for myself, that much of it has been learning on the go. It's almost about you, if you have a dream, you go and build around that dream. So I totally agree to what Saad said in terms of having courage. So I think one of the very important characteristics of every entrepreneur is having a vision, resilience, and agility. If you have a vision, if you dream about a vision, dream, dare, and do. Thank you.
Thanks, Maya, Manish, and Saad. I'd just like to quickly add on to what they've already mentioned. I think the question was to share that what do you think are some things you've noticed in the new age entrepreneurs, or the qualities they should have or have noticed. So I think in addition to everything that you need to be an entrepreneur, the first thing I'd like to ask you here is just a question. You can probably answer it with a raise of hands. How many of you even thought about becoming an entrepreneur or pursuing entrepreneurship because you looked at people around you doing it? Just raise your hands. Or you got inspired by somebody who's already done it in a close-knit circle of yours? How many? Just with a quick show of hands. What about the others? What were your reasons? Like, I'm just trying to quickly understand, because where I'm trying to get to is, today, the reasons to become an entrepreneur are very different from what they were before. That's the first thing I've seen. The mindset towards entrepreneurship has changed. You're not following the herd necessarily. Everybody comes with a very unique perspective. There is a problem you want to solve for. People are so piqued and interested in that one area and feel that you as an entrepreneur have to have that mad passion and drive for that one thing that keeps you up at night, right? And a lot more people are doing that instead of just following the herd mentality that you see in most of the other areas without putting down anything else that other people are doing. That's one shift I've seen. The second shift I've seen is very closely linked to what Manish mentioned, but it's the age of creatorpreneurs, right? It is your ability to be able to market your product, service, or offering, or anything that you have to offer on the right social media platform, targeted towards your customers and consumers in the most engaging manner possible, and targeting them again and again and again in such a way that it builds a long-lasting impression and leaves a brand legacy for yourself. At the same time, building an impression as a personal brand as an entrepreneur, because today, when you think of boat, you think of Aman Gupta. When you think of sugar, you think of Vinita Singh, right? That's because they have been able to create such a strong personal brand as founders themselves that they have indirectly become a channel of revenue for their products and services, and that's the reality. So that's the shift I have noticed, and I think that's a very good, I would say, way of looking at building your career up as an entrepreneur. Yeah.
Thank you, panelists, for all your insights. I think my biggest takeaways from this would be having a vision, being resilient, being perseverant, and building your own personal brand that will outlast your business as well. So, big thank you for that. But I want to revisit what has come up in the multiple speeches of yours, which is the idea of agility. So, given that you mentioned that some entrepreneurs have to always be agile, so can you maybe talk about some pivots that you've either encountered directly or indirectly that entrepreneurs have taken when there is a disruption in the industry?
So I can probably share a little bit of my, backstory. So I am an engineer and a management grad that pretty much went to a B school and thereafter, joined the largest tech firm and shifted to work in a Big Four management consulting firm. And I thought that was the art, and this is what it is. But lo and behold, 15 years into the job, I realized that this wasn't exciting enough for me to do for the next 15 odd years. And I'm talking from a little back, like, probably most of you in this room were young children in schools. I'm talking about, that time. And there was not much conversation around entrepreneurship, or we did not have any understanding of what it meant. And I think that I asked this very valid question in terms of how many of you today want to ride the wave because it is the in thing, because it is the cool thing. You want to be the cool kid, and you probably want to be the next Aman Gupta or the Vinita Singh in the room. But the real question that one needs to answer, and I think for me at least personally, I found that was there was a drive and a need to do something different. If there is a burning desire that you have within yourself, that there is a particular problem that you want to solve. And for me, the problem came from my own personal experience of having faced, workplace burnout. And that was the shifting point, and that was the moment when I thought, wow, this isn't me who's experiencing this. There are so many people who are in the workforce who are also going through this. And mostly when I started talking to my colleagues who were also working in that kind of a stressful environment, I realized this was a common problem. That was also the starting point for me to start thinking of what can I do to help them, which also meant what can I do to help myself. That was the ideation phase. And this was from 2014, almost 10 years back, exactly 10 years back. And just to share this with you, I did not start off back then. It was just an idea. A seed was planted. And it took me several odd years to come to here and really make it into a business idea. Again, going back to the fact that back in the days when I wanted to have a chat with my family saying that, hey, I have an idea, I want to go out there and do something and quit my full-fledged, well-paid corporate job, everybody in the family, friends circle just discouraged because are you crazy? Do you think this is going to work and how it's going to work? But then if you really have that burning desire, you will find every possible way to make it work. The larger question to ask yourself is this a burn or an itch? Do you have that burning desire to do something different, or is it just because somebody else is doing it or I should? So coming back to the question of is there a pivot? Yes, during in 2014 when I actually signed up to become the first certified movement therapy practitioner from Tata Institute of Social Sciences, with my background, I realized that I wanted to kind of start experimenting and see, does it work? Am I good? Can I make money? These were the larger questions for me to find answer to before really saying, bye-bye to my well-paid corporate job. And that took quite several years. That was my initial pivot. I started it off as a hobby project, as a weekend, hobby that I would do and kind of try and experiment. And when I realized that the media was covering the news and we were getting covered and featured, that is when I realized there is so much more that I can tap into. And there came a time when I realized now is the time. So you will never be prepared until you actually go out there and start experimenting. So start with small experiments. You don't have to change the world immediately overnight. You can do a small hobby project, run it as a pilot, do an MVP, which is a minimum viable product, go to the market, take feedback, do iterative loops, and then improve. And when you have arrived at a certain phase and a stage that you know that now is the right time you go in the market, probably that is the time when you should launch. This is my experience.
Okay. So quickly adding on to what Maya already shared, I feel that when you talk about pivots, if you talk about anybody's journey as an entrepreneur, I think for me, entrepreneurship just happened to me naturally, very, very naturally. I graduated 4 years ago, a 2020 pass out. I started working with KPMG right after as a management consultant, being a EC engineering student. So that in itself was a very big pivot because people didn't understand why I wanted to get into management after doing a core tech engineering degree. And then to actually wanting to do something of your own right from day one of being at the job, because not a lot of people know this, but the day I did join my job, I was very clear that I would want to build something on the side which will be of my own. So day one of being at KPMG was day one of the LLD course, which was my side hustle. And a lot of people took it in a way that, oh, it's your first day and that just shows that you're not committed to your job or you are probably not even interested in it. No, know, but the reality was from day one, I just knew one thing, that I didn't want to attach Dhairya Gangwani's identity as a person only to a label or a tag of an employee at a company, but also be known as something more than that. So that for me was a pivot. But I agreed to take that pivot and take those risks. Now, when you take that risk, at the same time, you also have to understand, are you being able to cater to the market's problems, any problem? So I couldn't just go out and say, oh, this is a service I can help you with building your resume or your LinkedIn profile, or I'm a career coach and pay me money. That's not how it works. So, like Maya mentioned, you have to do those pilot tests, and I did exactly that. I put out a simple Google form because people were very active on LinkedIn at that time. The pandemic was going on, and I definitely feel that I was at the right place at the right time, but I also knew how to tap into the right place at the right time. So when I realized there was a gap in the market and students in MBA colleges and undergraduate colleges were feeling lost, they didn't know what to do in their career, people were just confused. People with 17 years of experience were coming to me when I was 22 and asking me that I want to move from field A to field B and how do I do this? So I realized while I could give advice and it could work for them, how do I know it's worked for them? So till then, I didn't know it was impacting somebody. It made no sense to charge somebody for it, right? So that's when I just released a basic Google form, floated it out, helped about 200 to 250 students and working professionals absolutely for free to even see if this can create an impact. And when 75 to 80% of them came back saying, Dhairya, we're getting more interview calls now. Oh, my resume got shortlisted. I just landed an internship. Then you know you're being able to actually solve for a problem, not in your head, but also in the real market. So when that happened, and that is in a way the MVP part that you spoke about, then you know you can go out, you can test your services, there can be a price point that can come in, and then you know you have a customer base or a target audience to cater to. And obviously, then you keep pivoting basis how your audience is giving you indications, because your consumers and your customers will always tell you what they want and what they're not liking. It's up to you how keenly you hear, observe, and take action and execute on the change. So you have to constantly keep pivoting, not necessarily at the core of who you are as an entrepreneur or the product or service offering, but you have to actually tweak and pivot your ways of offering that at times, right? Whether it is going to new platforms, maybe discovering new revenue streams, discovering new, marketing strategies, whatever it is. So those kind of pivots are extremely important as an entrepreneur, in my opinion. Yeah.
So I totally agree to what Dhairya said. However, sir, I think very necessary, especially when you're growing up. I think as an entrepreneur, one of the very few things I like very early in life was you have to accept the confusion, and confusion and chaos is actually very good because it reflects that you are actually someone who's thinking. You're not following the herd. So confusion is a good thing. It's probably the only thing which can lead you to clarity. So while I was growing up, I didn't know about any other professions except for teachers and shopkeepers around me. I come from a very small town in Uttarakhand. So I actually didn't know about what I should aspire to be. So I took the same route which every I would say academic scholar would have taken. I was always top of my class, so I chose science in 11th class. I then again scored really good marks in my boards and J exams. So definitely I pursued engineering after that. When I came to engineering, first I realized maybe I don't want to be an engineer. The kind of impact and kind of I am leaving for myself, I can't fulfill in being an engineer. So I started looking around for more inspiration. And fortunately, I was in an institution which has produced alumni like founders and managing directors and chairmen of organizations like Reliance. Mukesh Ambani is alumni of my same college. He pursued the same course which I did in 1975, and founders of Asian Paints, Dr. Reddy Laboratories, and lot more others. So I started. So they used to these times. These leaders used to come to an institution and take sessions like this one. And I was always so inspired that people who were at one point of time they were sitting on the same bench, just studying from the same professors, are now leading huge businesses which I can't even think how they are operating. And they were at the same place one day, so can't I do that? At that point of time I realized I can't do that if I just study to be an engineer. There's something called entrepreneur. I couldn't spell it at that point of time. So I need to be that if I want to create impact like they are doing. So first thing I realized was I didn't have any business education, any business courses included in my curriculum. So fortunately, we are in internet age. So I went online, I checked out what all the best institutions in the world, like Stanford, what all books they teach in the curriculums. So I thought that okay, maybe for the next 2.5 years, I'll study these books and not the books which I'm supposed to study for passing my engineering exams. So I started reading those books. So although I never had an MBA and I don't intend to, but I can very confidently say that I know almost all the concepts which you guys have been taught because I've also read the theory and now I'm practically doing the stuff. And then I started looking for opportunities where I can actually learn the practical stuff. How can I be an entrepreneur? I was so naive and so open that I was open to work as a peon at any startup office just to see whatever they are doing and how does a business work. I was just okay doing anything. I was very active on LinkedIn, like Manish said. It gives a huge advantage. I was like 17 years old in 2018. I started writing on LinkedIn, and then one day I posted that I want to do freelance work. I didn't have any skills, no certifications. I was just a 17-year-old who is just first year in college, one semester done. I said I'll do anything whatever you want for me to do. A few people raised out. One of them was an US-based entrepreneur, and I was very biased because of the American dream, so I thought I'll work with him. He told me that I don't see any skills you have, but I think that you are smart enough because of academic credentials. So let's work for 1 week. If it works out, it's good. Otherwise, we'll let you go. So he was building a financial consulting company for last 30 years. And I was supposed to join as a marketing analyst. First week, I didn't know what I was assigned. They assigned me some keyword research. It's a basic part of SEO. I failed at it. But he said that, okay, I mean, you have good ideas, let's continue. So he started paying me $5 per hour, which was pretty good enough for me. It used to cover my basic expenses at college. Over the next 3 months, every day I feared that I'll be taken out of the job because he was assigning me projects left, right, and center. I didn't know what to do. I was going online, learning everything from scratch. And by that time, I thought, okay, maybe I know how to do this. Do the assign the project to someone else. That you are taking too much time. So after that, I did a few of Facebook advertisement campaigns for them, and they worked out pretty well. And he was starting a new community for entrepreneurs. He said that he was very interested in startups. Why don't you join that? So I joined that as the third employee. And after that, for the next 2 years, we worked together. We created it as one of the world's largest community for entrepreneurs. Then again, I put another pivot. I became overconfident and naive that I can maybe, start up on my own. Now I've worked with him and seen how he operates and everything. So I joined a private startup. I helped them with their community. So we took that community from 0 people to 500 investors. The asset under management of the company grew twice within just 5 to 6 months with the zero spend to $250,000. We were doing good. And then suddenly founder tells me that, bro, I think investors won't agree. Like you're too young for the startup. So you can continue to do the work, but we can't call you the co-founder. And I was like, that's the only reason I joined you guys. Like I was already making money. I didn't want it to make more money. I just wanted to be called as co-founder. It was, snatching that from me as well. So heartbroken, I left that, and then I thought, okay, I'll do something of my own where I'm the only founder. So I thought of, okay, let me think what I can do. It was COVID time. I come from a family of teachers, so I thought maybe I'll start an education app. So I thought that everybody is doing content. I'll create tools for creating content and for management. So we started building software for schools. We did that for 1 year. It worked well. We raised funds around $56,000 from another alumni of my own institution. But then, pandemic got over. Nobody wanted to study online. The biggest learning I had during that point of time was there are two ways you can learn. One is curiosity-led learning. When you're actually interested in what you want to learn, and then you go on internet and you go on to books and you read everything you can to try to learn as much as possible. And the next is curriculum-based learning, where there's a fixed curriculum, there are some credits attached, or there's some incentives for you to complete the curriculum. For the curriculum-based learning, if you take all the factors and use the best of the variables, like the best professors from the world, courses in the curriculum which you are genuinely interested in, you actually want to learn, and the incentives are used to get to. You create platforms like edX, Coursera, but if you look at their completion rates, it's less than I guess 9%. So curriculum-based learning in an online world it's not working with the best variables. And here I'm trying to sell it to schools who have teachers who are not that educated and students who are not at all interested in learning. So we realized that we had to shut it down. Then I did multiple pivots. I started an influencer marketing agency, made some money, but I realized it's too much of hard work and network which I don't have. So I quit that again. I did a lot of other things like loans for creators. I tried to build something in Web3 as well. Everything was filling left, right, and center. I was just pivoting from one thing to another. Then finally something like then we started to get more and more customers and things eventually worked out. So right now, just in last December, our company started to like we touched a milestone that we are making like rupees 1 crore in annual recurring revenue right now. After all of these pivots, I think it's just courage, perseverance, and agility to move from one failure to another with keeping the learnings with you, but not the fears of the failure, which helped us reach there, and probably will help us reach more success in the future as well. But again, explaining and concising in one line, pivots are very necessary, especially if you are very young, because you can't know what is the right thing for you unless you try it, and you can't find the right thing if you continue to do it even if when you have realized that it's the right thing for you.
Okay. So if I talk about pivot, I'm not, of course, not going to share my whole story. I know you have guys listen 3 stories, but for me, pivot meanings fail fast, get up fast. That is the only thing, right? So let me take an example from your life instead of I'm telling my life. So can anybody can just raise their hand how many exams they have given before coming to XLRI? 1, 2, 3, like CAT, SAT, MAT, GMAT, like 3 or 4, right? 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4. And I'm assuming you might have uh, you might have selected on all of the courses, or you haven't selected on all of those colleges or the preparation exams, right? Or probably you have just given the XLRI. So that is a pivotal for you because the objective was there. You have to do a master's from a reputed institute, right? Probably MBA, maybe from India, or maybe from international. The objective was there that okay, let's say I have to do MBA. In my case, it was always the one thing when I was in school, I have to make money. That was the only motivation in my life, and that's how I started. And right now, the mission statement or whatever content I create and whatever business I am right now, it's all about how to make money online. That's a very interesting topic because what I really feel, if we go on a common objective, then it becomes very easy for you to do multiple pivots. Because at the end of the day, your goal is clear, right? Either you have to make money, you have to make to an impact of let's say million people, you want some fundraising. So for example, if somebody really wants to raise funds, there is a possibility he might go to let's say 100 of investors, maybe banks, maybe different private institutions, but still he didn't get it. But he always feel if I get a funding, I would go let's say 1 CR, 10 CR, 100 CR, or 1000 CR. Because the primary objective is clear. So for me, if it is talk about agility, pivotal, anything, it's all about if your primary objective is clear, then there is no scope of pivotal. It's all about you have to make it. So okay, thank you.
Thank you, Travis, for sharing your journey as well as giving us a few lessons on failing and pivoting fast. So, in the interest of time, I would like to now open the floor and make it a little more interactive. We will now take questions from the audience. So, anyone with some questions? Yes.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for this insightful session. Within this community that we have in XLRI and in MBA in general, the very big debate is when to start. There is this idea कि थोड़ा work leके शुरू करेंगे दो डिग्री लेके थोड़ा काम करके करेंगे या फिर so but generally what I've seen is people don't want to start right away or they're always trying to push it to a later date कि idea है तो idea है so how do you like since four of you have started at varying points and quite earlier as well so how do you come out of that mindset कि idea आने पे ही आएंगे how do you advise people on that it's an open question for all of you
So I'll just share my 2 cents on it. I see, for me as well, when I started again, I was 22, and it was a very bold decision to even think of doing it. While I not quit my job at 22, and obviously, but I just worked for 2 years and I quit my corporate job. And to be very honest, it was not like I could have done that because I'll be very honest, I was also in a situation wherein I had the financial responsibility as well of taking care of certain things at home. So it was not like there was a business or there was some backing or there was something waiting for me wherein I know I could even take or have the privilege to do this. But you said, how do you know when you have to start? How do you even have the courage? I think for me, there came a point wherein there was nothing else that used to come to my mind other than this. When I would open up my laptop, I'm working for KPMG. In 11 months, I'm getting promoted. I'm getting salary hikes every 6 months. But there's no kick. There's no rush. Adrenaline rush है ही नहीं. Rather, when I'm opening up the laptop and my client के लिए कोई feature customize कर रही हूँ, I'm going to the cloud. My mind is at what am I going to post on LinkedIn today? What sessions do I have today with the students? Which college do I have to go to on the weekends? Because not Saturday, Sunday मिलता था, and I was doing 7 to 8 sessions on the weekends. What I'm trying to tell you is there will come a point where you can't see anything beyond that. It's like mad love. You get lost in it. That's the answer. Till the time you're not that deep into it, you will not make that. You will not take that step. That's it.
I think Dhairya actually nailed the answer. So from somebody who's worked in corporate with 2 years of experience to somebody who's worked at KPMG, 15 plus years experience, you can start whenever. It's the obsession. It's not the idea aane de, but if you have an idea, don't perpetuate. Don't sit on it. Don't lay eggs over it. If you have that obsession, the desire, and that's why I asked this question, is it a burn or an itch? करेंगे, कभी करेंगे, जब ये idea आएंगे तभी करेंगे. But if you actually have an idea, then go about it. Make multiple pivots. I think this panel, you are fortunate enough to have a diverse panel from somebody like Saad who's started right off at the age of 17 to somebody who started 15 years after being into corporate. So there's no right answer to it. If you have a burning desire to go out there and do something, go about it. If you're crazy enough to go and change the world, those are the people who actually change the world. The people who are crazy enough to think they will change the world are the people who actually change the world.
You want to say? Yes. Okay, cool. Okay, yeah, so pretty much similar thought to Dhairya and Maya. But what I would say, since we are very close to Ranchi, and Ranchi is anyway Mahendra Singh Dhoni's hometown, and I love MS Dhoni. So he always says everything is a process. Don't think that you are going to do business today, maybe after 3 years, maybe after 10 years. It's a complete process. I always knew from the childhood days when everybody was like, I want to become an engineer, I want to become a doctor. I used to say, I will become a businessman one day. I will own my time. Now what happened? Of course, because I joined corporate, not because of earning money, I wanted to understand the process of running a business. So you have to understand, once you have clarity in your mind of the entire business process, you can start whenever you want. For example, in your case, probably let's say, are you in first or second year?
I'm second.
You're in second year? Okay, great. So let's say you have assumed that, okay, after 3 years, I can start my own business. So today, what you can do, you can just start working on building a personal brand.
Because once you start creating your personal brand, you will actually have the initial customers on which you can, let's say, start your services, build your product, whatever. After 2 years or after 3 years, you will anyway have that audience. So business, creating business is always a process. There is no right date when you can start. Probably you can just start today as well as a side hustle. When I started on my journey, like if I tell you, I quit my day job of more than 30 lakhs per annum package at the time of 2020 when my baby was born. She was just 2 months old. I quit the full-time job. Everybody was against me, but I was well prepared because I knew one thing. Like I passed out from Antraj College, Masters in Applied Statistics, and I had like experience of 9 years in corporate. So I was like, इतना सब करने के बाद भी अगर मेरे को डर लगेगा ना तो मेरा करने का फायदा ही नहीं. And same thing with you. After completing your masters from XLRI or from any top institute, if you're going to, if you're feeling scared after 2 years or 3 years, मेरा क्या होगा? Then आपका MBA करने का फायदा नहीं. MBA is not about teaching you those topics. It's all about getting that network and that courage so that you can just start with it. So just start working on the process. That is more important. Don't think you have to earn money from tomorrow, but it's like how can I start a process, and in that process there are like multiple phases which you have to start. So I hope I have answered this.
I think I already agree with Dharia with every word she said. And apart from obsession, I think there's nothing else. I can't add anything else to what Dharia said, what Maya said, and what Mani said. So I'll just, give it the.
We have one more question.
Hi, Sar. So my final question, my question for you is that since you worked in multiple startups, started multiple ventures, some of them worked out, some of them didn't. What was the common point? What was the thing that made that one startup successful while the others were not so successful?
Great. So when you said that some of them failed and some of them worked out, I would like to say that all of them have failed so far, and this is the only one that seems to be working. And I hope that it works out. So I think this can also add to the debate which we had in the first few keynote sessions about innovation and copycats. So when I started, so I launched a lot of products which nobody wanted, but they were world's first products. Some of them were ahead of time, some of them were very, very badly executed. Like we were working on world's first conversational AI tool for education companies in 2020. There was no ChatGPT back then. And we were working on so many new innovative products that most of the time we didn't have the right technology. And I am not a genius technology maker, I'm not a genius inventor, so I can't invent technology, I can only use it. So a lot of times those failed. The recent learning, I think the biggest learning which made us slightly more successful this time was, I stopped trying to be clever in a different way. I just realized that for building a better business, you need to understand where there's already an established market and to do something which is to build better products and build and offer a better customer experience. And then if you can do these things, maybe you can also charge a premium price on top of that. So in the current market we are operating, it's extremely competitive. Companies like the Jio, Vodafone, Airtel, all of them have products in the same space. The other companies which I was just reading financials of two competitors. One of them has posted a revenue of 4,000 crores in a year. Another one has posted a revenue of 1,000 crores in a year. And we still think that we can do it because we have got customers who were earlier served by them. Now we are serving them. The realization was that these are very large organizations. They have like thousands and lakhs of customers globally. And they can't serve everyone because the business we are in, there are different revenue streams, but you can think of it as a low margin business. So when you are operating a low margin business, you always have to be very, very careful on wherever you are spending your money on. So there are different functions like customer support, which is very critical for businesses. There's marketing, there's sales, there's product, technology. What I realized that these guys are very good at technology and these guys are very good at marketing. How we are trying to change that is, we are not spending anything on marketing. We have zero spend on marketing. There's no marketer in our team saying, I'm the only one who goes on to LinkedIn, writes a good story, shares some content. I have around 2 million annual views on my LinkedIn content. That's where we got all of our leads ever from. That's how we spend 0 million marketing, and we mostly on customer success. And for building the better product and better technology than them, we are using the funds which we have raised in last round. We are raising another round. So that's how we are building a business where we don't spend necessarily on marketing. That LinkedIn does a job for me on how to do that for yourself. Manish can help you. So that's how we save money on marketing and spend it on customer success. And that's how we charge higher than these giants. And still our customers are super happy because they're getting a better product with a much better customer experience.
So thank you, sir, for that answer. We have one last question from the audience.
Hi, am I audible?
Yeah.
So I think this can go for all of you, whoever can relate. So suppose I do have an idea, and as Manish had already told, that you can start right now. But instead of a services kind of thing, I'm getting into a product-based idea. So currently I'm in an environment where maybe I'm studying, but I do not have all the resources to go about how to implement the idea. There are a lot of government regulations and interventions needed for that. Then funding is required, and I think technical expertise also related to the idea. We do have an idea, but how to implement it. So if you would suggest maybe a path so as to maybe start that journey. I'm in my first year, so I do have another year here. So how can I make that plan into concrete, something which can work out later?
Have you heard of something called prototyping? Yeah. So I think one of the interesting, I'm from a services industry, so I think all of us are probably. So not much of a product background, but though I can speak from my experience is again going back to MVP. What is the minimum viable product? What's the minimum of that product that is sellable and you can go out in the market? That is something probably you can start doing. The other thing is definitely to start with your research. What is the market size you're trying to, you have already that you can capture? What problem does it solve? Maybe start looking out for co-founders if you already want to build a product later on. And I think also the other part is to really look at, is this the idea you would want to run behind for the next 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years of your life? That's probably the first question you need to answer. Like going back to what Shamik and Arijit said, that probably in India we have a lot of these Me Too brands which is already done and dusted, somebody else has already done it, we're probably copying it. Therefore, you need to go back and have this dialogue with yourself. Is this something that is going to be a game changer in the market? So whenever you are starting out as an entrepreneur, I think there is, like Manish said, it's a journey, it's a process. So there is this internal dialogue which is very, very, very important. And I'm sure all of you must have heard about this, that a company is as strong as its founder. So your skill, your talent, your character is all going to be the way the company will be led thereafter. So really work on yourself in understanding what is it that you would want to bring into the world, whether in the form of a product or a service, and take those small steps. Can you build a prototype? Maybe do a sample within your friends and family. Give them free samples, run a test. This is the minimum that you can do, and then you can iterate it. Minimum viable product, iterate, adopt an agile mindset, and before you know, probably you already have a co-founder. Take one step at a time. That is what I would suggest.
Can I ask if you have a consumer brand or consumer technology idea that you want to work on, or is it a business to business idea?
It could be B2C.
It could be B2C.
Yeah. It can be possible, but mainly B2C.
Alright, so from my experience, what I do is a very methodical approach. Whenever I want to enter a new business or whenever I want to launch a new product. So the first thing is there's a thing called customer discovery research. It is exactly what it sounds. The idea is not to find customers for you, but to identify if there are customers for what your product sell. And there are only two parameters which you need to ensure. First is there for your customer, for your ideal customer which you have in your mind, is there an intent to pay? Do they want to pay? And second one is, do they have capacity to pay for whatever you're selling? So there are various different ways to test it out. First is you can go online. If there are competitors, thankfully, then you can check what they do, how much they are selling, and what prices they are selling. You can do a lot of secondary research, and I think the real success lies in the primary research. For even this venture, which is I think unfortunately working out, I did more than 400 plus customer discovery interviews. The process is as follows: you go to a customer who is your ideal customer. He could be a consumer, or you would have certain attributes attached to him who you could be a consumer. Talk to them about their daily lives, what problems they are facing, the challenges, not about your idea, about them. And if they tell you that whatever you're thinking is one of the top three challenges they are facing, or one of the top three desires or needs they have, then you're onto something really good. Because the problem has to be top of their mind. If you go and ask people, do you want salt in your toothpaste? They may say yes or no, but it doesn't mean that they will want or buy a toothpaste with salt in it. But if you go to them and they tell me, I'm looking for a job, I really hate my job. And if they tell you that there's some another problem going on with that, it's on top of their mind. People only pay for problems which are top three of priorities or the top priority. You don't pay for problems number 36 in the list. The next thing is you want to understand if they are willing to or they have the capacity to pay you for it. For example, you test this out by asking what solutions they have already tried for it. Have they tried any competitive products? Have they tried any other products or any other solutions, manual, automated, whatever? If he says that this is a problem in my life, but he has not tried any solution, then either he is lying, consumers lie a lot in customer service interview. He is either lying or he doesn't know himself very well. So he can't give clear answer. So first find out if the person has the problem. Is it one of the proprietary problems? He tell this problem directly to you. You don't have to ask, is this a problem to you? He tells you directly. And then he has tried a lot of other solutions. None of them is working out because either of them they are very expensive or they are not to the like the quality which he was expecting. Only then you will realize after a certain point of time that there are some common problems in the market. I'm trying to understand. Almost everybody is fed up of this problem. Now you can think whether I want to start this venture or not. Because if there's no intent to pay, there's no capacity to pay, there's no point of starting a business. That's why I don't want to do any other more business with students and the consumer. Because students who don't have money to pay for the canteen vendor, they have udhari with them. How will I make a lot of money with them? So keep this mind, and I think this will help you in deciding whether you want to do this business or not. And eventually you will land on to something, even if you have the most vague problem in your head, and you start this process. By the time you do, because when you talk to one person, it's an opinion. I'm giving an opinion. When you talk to 100 people and they share some common pattern, then you find insights. And I hope this insight will help you find the right ideas, which may not be or the idea which you started with, but it will something be very worth exploring and finding and building on to. I hope that helps.
Thank you.
Okay. What's your name, buddy?
Arshit.
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 Arshit. Okay. Consider myself Arshit. Now, what I will do, I'll give you the actionable roadmap. That will be like 180 days actionable roadmap. So what you have to do? You have to do three things. So, for example, I want to build a, let's say, biggest solar plant, something like that, right? What I'll do three things. First, I'll go on Upwork. Upwork is the biggest freelancing platform. Now, I will find who all the competitors or those who have already plants in the solar system, something like that. Or you will start finding people who can give you the jobs in their startups or in their company so that you can get to learn something from them. That is the first thing. Now, how will you do that? There are two things. Either go to Upwork because there are a lot of platforms which can help you to get the consulting gigs, but Upwork is great because they have like from every region. Because right now you are not very sure whatever idea you have, is it validated for India, outside of India, maybe Singapore, maybe for Nigeria, maybe for US, maybe for Canada. Now the other way to to do the outreach is the cold emailing. How you can do the cold emailing? You can just go on Google and check for angel list, and you will get all the competitors or all the people who have got recently the investment for that particular idea, right? And then you can just drop an email to them that hi, I'm blah blah. I have that kind of a skill. That is my portfolio. I would love to work with you. I am okay to work for let's say $5 an hour or something like that. But I really want to learn. There is a possibility if you knock on 1,000 doors, one door will open for you. That is the first action program. The second step, you have to go on LinkedIn or Twitter. You have to start creating content around your specific skill in which you wanted to build a business. Irrespective, it's a generic or it's a niche business. Because the more generic content you will build, you will get more reach, more attention. Always understand this thing, you will not get the business from your 100 customers, you will get the business only from your 1% of the customers. Right? अगर room में 100 people are there, 99 people will clap. Only one person will buy because 99 people are clapping for you. So they will understand that okay, something is better going. Right? The third, you have to do the affiliate marketing. Now, what is affiliate marketing? It's all about how you can promote the particular brand. Right? So, for example, if I am going to promote some accessory of that solar plant, because the initial idea was to set up my own solar plant after 3 years. If you feel that okay, after creating content around it and people are genuinely showing interest in getting those accessories or that kind of product, so you will actually have a market. You will have a clear understanding that okay, from Nigeria, we are getting some orders of that particular product. So in that way, you will get a consulting experience from the startup. The second, it's about the content creation. Through content creation, you can start building your own audience, the lead generation setup. The third, affiliate marketing, that will help you to understand the entire market fit for that particular field. So that is an actionable roadmap for you for next 180 days without any holiday or without anything. You have to make sure you have to do it for 180 days, and I'm very sure on 181 day you will definitely DM me on LinkedIn. So yeah, I hope I have answered your question.
Thank you, Sam, Manish, and Maya, for your answers. I'm pretty sure it would have helped them.
I have a question for the audience before we probably call it a wrap. Because I think all of us here seated, we are all part of the LinkedIn Accelerator program. And so I want to ask this question. How many, and Manish, Daria, I think all of us, we share how important it is to build your personal brand. And whether you're an entrepreneur or you're a person in the corporate world, it is very important to have your professional presence and visibility created in a platform like LinkedIn. So I want to ask this question from all of you seated here. How many of you actually have a LinkedIn profile that is active? Do you actively post content? How many of you actively post content? Profile तो बना लिया है, content बना रहे हैं या scroll कर रहे हैं? Scroll कर रहे हैं. So if you want to be an entrepreneur, start with becoming a content creator. That is also being an entrepreneur because you can also earn money by creating content, and therefore influencer is also another way of really making money. So really, that's one thing I really wanted to leave all of you as a thought.
Thank you for that as well. So that concludes an engaging panel discussion. We explored a lot of avenues from the qualities that an entrepreneur requires to even actionable 180-day roadmap to taking your idea to the next level. So a big thank you to the panelists, and we have a huge round of applause. So with that, we conclude all the sessions planned for the XLRI Entrepreneurship Summit 2024, but we're not done. At 6 p.m., we will be having the national level finals of the Business Plan Competition Disrupt 2024, which will be happening online with participants from across the country. We will be judged by top venture capitalists. I now invite Professor Saragi to deliver the vote of thanks and to facilitate the panelists.
course, it was in the woods. And I took the one less started by. That has made all the difference, says Robert Frost. And I'm sure our friends this evening, Saad, Manish, Darya, and Maya, all of you have made a difference to all my students here. So thank you, a big thank you. Thanks for taking time out from your busy schedule. And this is when you're not a new teacher, this is what I was doing. As I'm not. So thanks a lot for your valuable time and your insights. In fact, as a teacher, when I was listening to all of you, and the limited time that I had for myself from the corner of the chair, I was getting enlightened. Thanks a lot. In fact, you're ratifying some of the things that I think romantically are very academic, but you're ratifying. So, and most importantly, I'm also thanking our dear Bhattacharya, Arijit Bhattacharya, and Swami Gua, who are here in absentia. I'm thanking them for again ratifying what we're doing. In fact, when Shamik was, I think it is important for you, when Shamik was questioning and he said, I take marketing and strategy with a pinch of salt. I teach management communication and leadership, whatever it might be. And I was covering my chair saying, oh God, don't come anywhere near me. And thank God they didn't, because they were ratifying emotional intelligence, they're ratifying collaboration, they're ratifying trust, and most importantly, they're ratifying the smattering of neuroscience that I bring to my course. So, of course, I feel elated, I feel gratified. So thanks a lot. Keep coming back to us. I'm not sure in what way it is going to be the benefit or fructify to the extent my beloved students will be entrepreneurs. But I believe entrepreneurship, in my estimation, when I used to be an entrepreneurship evangelist, drinking, sleeping, and should I say eating entrepreneurship years ago, and XLRI happened. So that time I learned entrepreneurship is nothing else. One of my those days, my American entrepreneur friends said, Sunil, do you know what entrepreneurship stands for? And he taught me that day. Entrepreneurship is from your land. It's like entrepreneur. And when you get that entrepreneur and have an epiphany, as you had epiphanies, and that's where you start sharing your stories. That, by the way, world is a storytelling competition, and that's what probably we do all the time. Right? And that's where you literally inspire people and leave a generation inspired to undertake this arduous journey and dream big and make a difference to not only themselves, but make a difference to the society and nation. And mind you, it is not the job of the government to give jobs. That's not the job. We need to create jobs. We need to really meaningfully, socially, economically, and in many ways than one, we need to contribute to the nation, otherwise we can't talk about a nation. And that's where I'm sure all of you are making a difference. So big thank you. And we'll be celebrating your journey further as you will be making marks and crossing milestones. I'm sure I, as a normal teacher, by the way, you asked all of us whether we have a LinkedIn profile or not. I must tell you, I have a LinkedIn profile which was created by one of my friends who was my also client when I was a freelancer. And big gratification that God has an entrepreneur in me. Because Arijit, the other day, a year ago, he wanted to invest money in whatever, and he said he gave me a blank check. So that's where I felt, yes, I'm still alive, I'm still probably marketable, I'm still employable. By the way, you know what? This is very, very important. I think LinkedIn profile, I can get away because I'm a teacher. I can get away. But for an entrepreneur to be an entrepreneur, this is a sine qua non. This is non-negotiable. And you let me inspired to really, by picking it, the desire of becoming an entrepreneur in me, by saying, yes, tonight only I'll go back and reactivate. And I have loads of
You'll start with the post about this and tag all of us.
Thank you. And thanks a lot. In fact, as a tribute from one of my grateful students, I believe she's one of the best, and she offered me the tribute. I'm not going to give the name. She said, sir, you know what's tribute? She is an entrepreneur. And this is what she said, I'll take care of your soft launch. So I feel absolutely. Thank you. Thanks a lot. We'll have loads of stuff to talk about beyond this moment. And thank you. It's brilliant. And on behalf of XLRI, my gratitude, my students' gratitude. And thanks for making this evening such a terrific evening. Thank you. Yes. So we've captured your photos from the properly. Yes, sir. Sir, please come. Yes, so sir, come. Thank you so much. Stand properly. Stand. Yes, I'm sure. Thank you.
So all the panelists can come join for a photo. Please. Please, the audience could join in as well.
Rashish, एक बार ये ले लो.
By then.
Just Sarangi sir.
Yeah. Oh, no problem. Come, please come.
Yeah, first. Then we'll join.
Oh my goodness, I'm the chosen one. Lovely. Yes. So first year students here. Thank you.
Right.
So let me step out. They are all yours.
Come.
I can't be you. Come on. I'm sure you're tired of seeing my face. I need to. I don't know. Self-illusion is very important. I have some values that they're asking. Maybe it's just illusion. It's just.
Yes, please.
Kashish, you also join.
May I click the picture? Just a minute.
Thank you. Nimesh.
She is working with BlackRock as a software engineer. She did her from the I did my EC.
वो मेरा बैग है.
I did almost 2 years.